Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Funday. We got a great live. So my co-host of the evening is Gil from Gray Man Prepping, our Camppatton family compound. And today we have Greg from Haas Tools. Guys, I'm so excited about this. So what a great growing business. Totally been mind-blown, great stuff on YouTube. And we're going to learn a lot about his products on his channel, and so we're going to learn about his life a little bit too. So that's going to be exciting. 8:20, we have Freehandly Made and Gemma's Journey Grace. We're going to talk a little bit about autism awareness and some of their problems that they had growing up, and things where it's progress and how things are easier for them and everybody to be aware of autism awareness. And at 8:40, we have Food Forest Permaculture. Now, hey, Howie's awesome. He's live almost every day in the last couple of weeks. And man, you're going to learn so much from Howie. So we got a great Sunday Funday. Become a member, guys. We start at Zucchini Club, which is 99 cents. Check that out. Every little thing helps the channel. It helps getting out seeds and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we're going to welcome Gray Man Prepping, or Camppatton Family Compound. This is Gil. Gil, thank you for becoming a co-host for the week. I really appreciate it. So how's everything? So what's the temperature out there today?
Temperature right now, let me hit the refresh here on my weather thing, and it's 54 degrees outside right now. And they raised the low tonight. Now it's only going to be 33, not freezing.
So today we have people from New Jersey. We're starting to get closer to 50, where you're getting ready for your summer crops. To Gil, who's still in his spring kind of growing, and Greg is in his summertime of growing. You know, his stuff is all planted, already growing. It's going great. So we're going to welcome Greg in right now. So this is Greg from Haas Tools. Welcome in, Greg.
Heck yeah, glad to be here.
Heck yeah. So how long have you been, Sheila's your wife, how long have you guys been married?
We've been married 38 years.
Wow. So you've been married since, when did you get married?
We got married in you put me on the spot here. We got married in 84.
1984. So I was 14.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. So when did you start gardening? Did you always grow up gardening?
Yeah, I was a teenager when I just fell in love with it. My grandfather was a farmer, and I always kind of hung around with him a little bit and just looked up to him and kind of watched and learned. And in my teenage years, loved it. And ever since we've been married, I cannot remember the first year we did not have a garden. So we've been gardening ever since.
Now, what was your favorite vegetables in the garden?
Oh, that's a tough one. They're all beautiful. Tomatoes, watermelons, and corn, I would have to say, is my top three.
And so since you lived on a farm, you had huge property, right? Mm-hmm. You got a lot of acreage. So growing watermelon had to be great.
It is. And our climate down here in South Georgia is just ideal for growing watermelons. We've got watermelons blooming, putting on fruit now. We'd love to grow them. Now, the sad thing is, by the 4th of July, we pretty much burn up. Everything's over with after them. But the month of June is really good for us. All our vegetables starts coming in. Our watermelons come in, tomatoes and everything. So we love watermelons. We love corn. We love okra down here in the South. Tomatoes, you name it. We love to grow it. Sweet potatoes.
Now, okra hasn't made its way up to New Jersey yet. It really hasn't. You see,
there is a container variety out called green fingers that you can grow in containers now in case you have to move them in. So it's like a miniature, shorter variety that you could grow and probably get by with it up there.
That's a good idea. I'm going to definitely try that. Somebody just came home. Yeah, I think, definitely. I guess it's a time period. How long does okra take to grow?
Okra doesn't take that long to grow, but it loves hot, dry weather. So okra is in the mallow family, which is the same as cotton and hibiscus. So it loves hot, dry weather. So that's one reason y'all have such a hard time growing other area, because it's so cool and you have a short growing season. We normally get 3 crops in during the summertime. Nematodes is bad on nematodes, but we'll start probably picking okra around the 1st of June, somewhere there.
And did your parents garden too, or did you just went to your uncles and things?
Well, the funny thing was, my father was in the produce business, so I grew up. We was the kind of the middleman, where we bought from the farmer and sold to the store. That's what my father did all his life. It was mainly tomatoes. So I grew up around that. But my father was the middleman, so we bought from the farmer and we sold to the chain store, to the fruit stand, and all that. So I was very familiar with it, but I wasn't real familiar with the actual growing part of it. And I picked up the love of that from my grandfather.
And how about bug pressure? What is the hardest thing you learned about growing food? What was like the number one thing?
Well, I live within 3 miles of where I was raised, so I've always been right here in the South. But we have intense bug pressure and disease pressure down here in the deep South. Large produce farming operations around here, we have a lot of bug pressure, thrip pressure, aphids, you name it, we got it. We got diseases, tomato spotted wilt virus, we got bacterial wilt, we got all kind of diseases we have to deal with down here. And that's one thing about gardening is, the same variety may do well for you and it may not do well for me. So a lot of this stuff is regional. What will grow best in different regions. We're starting to see people understand that more than they used to, but it's a fact. I have different problems or situations than you guys do.
Yeah, we get mostly, your aphids, but now we have the Chinese lanternfly. That's coming by our areas, and they're taking, forest out. They're taking everything out, but it hasn't really affected so much of grapes. They affect and things like that, but they totally turn a whole tree totally black. It's insane. So I know it's not down south yet, but it's in Philly, New York, New York, Philly. Just all the, it's crazy. James Pergini, I forgot, he's a New Jersey YouTuber. He's all Pergoni. He found his nest all over his house this spring. So he's trying to take him, clean everything out. I'm like, it's that bad in New Jersey.
Wow.
So now, what kind of stuff do you like to use for pest control? Do you go by insect? Do you do everything organically as much as you can?
We do everything organically as much as we can, and then if we have to use some synthetics, we try to use the right kind and to be as gentle as we can. I have a background in pesticides and fertilization. I spent 20-something years in the landscape horticulture business, so I have a pretty good understanding of pests and how to control them and their life cycles and things like that. Their thresholds where we treat and all that. So our goal is to treat as soft as we can with organics, and then if things get out of hand on us, we'll go to some of the synthetics. There are some synthetics out there I will not use, period. There's a few I will use.
And Gil, do you have some questions too before?
Email me. The only question I really have for him has to deal with the attachments for his the 2-wheel and 1-wheel. I'm having a brain fart here. Yeah.
Wheel hoe.
And so what is your favorite attachments?
Well, the plows on there probably are one of our top seller ones because you can set them in as what we call a middle buster. Y'all guys probably call them a furrow up north, but you can put them together and they make a furrow where you can plant potatoes and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you can turn them around on the outside and they make a healer. So you can go in there and heal those plants, potatoes, things like that, things that you want to throw a mound of soil to. So that's probably our biggest seller. We have a lot of different ones. The toughest one we have is one called the oscillating hoe. And it's that thing that's got the little bar on there and it's got the high carbon steel blade. It's sharp and it rotates back and forth 20 degrees each way. That is the toughest implement we got. It just slices through your soil and cuts those weeds off.
So just let everybody know in the chat around around 8 o'clock, we're going to ask questions. So if you have any questions, write them down, and Greg will answer whatever he can in the time period. So save those questions up. Don't ask them right now. Just try to save them up, and we'll try to do the best we can answer them. So we're going to go to, Greg has a YouTube channel, so you guys could check this out. So let me guys show that. Hold on one second, guys. So this is Greg's, this is Haas Tools YouTube site. So there's so much stuff on this site you guys can learn. How to grow tomatoes indeterminates. These little tricks will make your watermelons very happy. Grow an okra in the garden. There you go. Why Southerners grow determinate tomatoes. Now, do you guys grow determinate tomatoes because of the heat?
Mainly we do. I do grow a few indeterminates, but we mostly are more successful with determinate types because by the 4th of July, it's over with anyway. So if we baby an indeterminate along, the sun's going to take it out anyway, or the heat's going to take it out by the 4th of July. So those determinates, we seem to get more off of those because, you know, they load up heavier with fruit, and by the time they're gone, they're all gone. So that's the reason we love to grow determinates down here.
Yeah, don't you wish they just lasted a little bit longer? Just a little bit longer.
Well, we can grow a fall crop though here, and we do that sometimes.
How to grow big onions. So you guys start everything from seed. Growing stuff from seed, onions starts is so simple.
Well, we sell onion plants in the fall of the year. So here in the deep south, so we're not that far from Vidalia, Georgia. I don't know if you're familiar with the Vidalia sweet onion.
Yes,
we're not that far from there. So we sell onion plants in the fall of the year. Now we plant our onions in November, and we overwinter them, and we harvest our onions around the mid to end of March. So a little bit different from you guys.
And the mistakes in growing, I kind of listened to this a little bit at work. The mistakes of growing watermelons, is it because of the weed control? Like, what is the number one thing for a mistake growing watermelon? Like, I know growing out of season, like too early or too late. Like, name one of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest mistakes of growing watermelon.
You got to have pollinators. So you got to have a pollinator strategy in place to grow watermelons. You got to have honeybees, bumblebees, or something to pollinate them is the number one mistake we see. Number two is you got to give them plenty of room. So, raised beds are not ideal for growing watermelons. You're better off to grow them on the flat and kind of maybe a 30 by 40 or 40 by 40 spot there. Give them plenty of room to vine out and run. And, watermelons vine over. So they make this canopy there. So it's real hard to get in there and water them. So we highly recommend people to also grow them on drip irrigation so that you don't have to get there and tromps on top of them. And plus, you can inject your fertilizer through your drip irrigation. So that's the three main strategies we use for growing watermelons.
Drip irrigation has to be so important with the heat down there.
It is.
I mean, that's over here. Actually, last year we only had rain twice in New Jersey all summer.
Wow,
that was it.
Wow. Yeah,
it was insane. Easiest way to weed the garden. There you go. That's a great site for many. Many people start their gardens too much weeds and they stop gardening right away. So check out that video. There you go. You got another thing for weeds, right? You got your tarps, and you sell those tarps, right? The weed.
We do.
Weed fabric.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, I remember my first year growing when I was 14. Oh my God, I remember being on my hands and knees forever. I was like, what am I doing?
We actually got a new if you scroll right back up, we got a new right there. We got a new weed mat out this year that I'm real excited about. And this weed mat here, that's the tarp there. I thought that was the weed mat video, but it's not. But we got a woven weed mat that already has the slits and X's cut into it. So it's like a 30 by 15. It's the 30 by 15. And it's already laid out. It's already got the slits and the X's, the holes cut in it. And we also have a plug and play drip irrigation kit that goes along with it. So for somebody that's a beginner gardener, this is the ideal way for them to start.
And you know what I like about your site too? I like your complete growing guides. So here you have how to grow sweet corn, a complete guide. And I think that's very important, especially for the beginning gardener or you start your season of corn. Go watch those videos. I think that's very important. You can learn a lot from, or just remind you how to grow each vegetable. What else? There you go. Instant drip irrigation for raised beds. That's very important because raised beds, hey, that's the soil there is going to get drier than stuff in the ground. So
Exactly.
let's see what else. There you go. You could say anything you want the whole entire time. Just want to let you know you don't have to.
Okay, you have a new member just came in, Judy Hawk.
Oh, whoop whoop whoop! Thank you, Jody, so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you so much. Now, when you grow in the heat, do you get blossom a lot easier than normal climates?
We do. We get it pretty bad down here. Most of the time we see it on the very first tomatoes that come in, and it gets better after that. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about blossom end rot. We try to do our best to help people, educate them on it, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about blossom end rot. It's one of the most frustrating things a gardener faces when he's growing tomatoes.
We're going to talk about this. Our best tomatoes to grow. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let me just go over two more. Now, fertilizers. Do you use different fertilizers for all your vegetables you grow?
We do. We have different balanced fertilizers such as 20-20-20. We have an organic fertilizer we call the complete organic, and we have a all-in-one 10-10-10. And then we have our nitrogen sources, which are tailored for different types of crops. Mm-hmm. An example of that would be calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate is great to use on tomatoes and peppers and watermelons, those things where you could have blossom end rot, and you want to get as much calcium to that plant as possible. Calcium nitrate is a perfect product for that because you're getting the nitrogen and the calcium at the same time. We also sell another one called ammonia sulfate for leeks and onions and garlic, because onions and garlic love sulfur. So there again, you're getting the sulfur along with the nitrogen. And we got another one we call Chilean nitrate, which is actually an organic fertilizer. It's a nitrogen source. It's mined out of Peru and Chile, down in that area in South America. And it is a 15% fast-acting organic fertilizer. And that's a good one for corn as well.
Now, living with how many acres do you live on?
We live on 10 here, and we have another 30 right down the road.
Now, do you have like raccoons or deer and things like that? Do you have those kind of? Our biggest things here is deer and raccoons, and ground moles. That's our groundhogs. Right. That's our biggest.
The only problem we have is rabbits. Now we have deer in the area, but they don't really get in my garden. But we have a problem with rabbits in there.
Well, I never think that. They find their way. You know, hey, they're going to go right after that lettuce, things like that, right?
Oh, yeah. They love collard greens, kale, things like that. They'll even eat sunflowers. So when I have to plant my sunflowers, I got to be real careful to protect them from the rabbits. They love sunflowers.
And everything's open in your acreage, right? So they could just come on in.
Yeah, but I've had to put up some fence in certain times of the year to keep the rabbits out. In the fall of the year, they seem to be worse right before we go into our wintertime. And in the early spring, they're pretty bad. But besides that, I get away with it. But I have to take precautions, certain times of the year.
First time I planted watermelon, I moved here. I'm like, hey, look, I got extra land. Let me just throw a bunch of watermelon seeds in, right? And see what happens. Everything was growing great. Tons. I must have like 80 watermelon growing of a whole bunch of different varieties. Went back there. I was going to go pick it on a Friday night. My wife goes, hey, let's go out to dinner. Mom, we could have a nice dinner together. Let's spend a night. I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden went back out there the next morning. The whole thing was demolished. Everything eaten. I think I had to be like 10 huge deer. They just, oh my God. Everything was all over the place. It was like they had a feast. I got a couple out of it, but it was not what I expected. I'm
extremely frustrating. Yep.
I can't even imagine what you go through once in a while like that. Oh, geez. Let me see. So thank you, everyone, for coming in the chat. There's 81 people here right now. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate it. Right now, we're going to go to your site with all what you sell.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So today we're going to give away, before I go to that, we're going to give away, well, Haas Tools is giving away 2 collections. One's going to be the Pollinator collection, and another one's is going to be the Heirloom collection. So you guys could check that out. So right after we're done with this live, we're going to give 2 of those collections away. And all our seeds today is going to be from Haas Tools too. You just got to tell me the vegetable when you guys win. So Greg, what I do is I have a big wheel. It's called the registration wheel. And it goes to their name. The only thing you get to do today is name a vegetable. And we're going to send something out to them. So that's, I guess, pretty awesome. And Greg, thank you so much for doing those 2 collections. I really appreciate it. That is so awesome. Okay, so let's get down to, let's talk about your site. So here's Haas Tools. This is where you can find us. So they give away garden tools like wheel hose, garden seeders, long handle tools, short handle tools. Now, what is the product that you use most out of these 4? Wheel hose, garden seeders, long handle tools, short handle tools.
Well, the wheel hoe, which is what we started with, is our best-selling product. That's what we sell the most of, and that is we took an old Planet Junior, bought one off eBay that was made for 100 years, redesigned it a little bit, and brought it back into production. That's what the Haas double wheel hoe is. We made a few changes to it to make it better, but it is a proven design that's been around for over 100 years. All the little small farmers up in New York State, Pennsylvania, everything, they used the wheel hoe back in the day. And that is our best-selling product. Single wheel hoe, double wheel hoe, and we got a high arc wheel hoe that has a little more width to it. You can cultivate taller plants with it. But the double wheel hoe probably outsells the other 2, but just by a little bit.
Well, hey, anytime you don't have weeds in the garden, it makes life so much easier.
Yep.
And let me see what you garden. So garden seeders. So let's check out one of the garden seeders. Garden seeder combo. So this is pretty cool. So you put the length for each seed in the seeder. That's how it works.
Has a plate that you put in there, and you put the size hole in the plate. You have to match it to the seed. So we have 6 different plates that we sell with cedar, but we got blanks where you can make your own because there's all different kind of seed sizes out there. But you can put that that plate in there. It rotates around and drops seeds out. Perfect for planting okra, collards, turnips, mustard, corn, peas. Perfect for that. We're coming out with a new hopper on it in a couple months that you can change the hopper out, and you can plant flower seeds as well, and like raw carrot seeds and things like that. So we're excited about that.
So garden supplies. I tell you what, with that, the germination mats, you're growing hot peppers, get a germination mat. Peppers are hard to start. The hotter you get, the harder to start. But when you have the germination mats, it makes life so much easier. And so that's the 2 size. I like the big one here. I might have to get the big one sometime. 150 watt. Now, do you control a temperature off that mat, or is it one temperature?
No, you have a thermostat that you buy with it that you control the temperature with. And you can, I believe that particular mat there, you can add on another mat to that one right there.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Ours is UV listed, so ours is one of the few heat mats out there that has been tested for safety, and that are UL listed.
And here's tarps. So is this what you talked about before, Greg?
No, that's the silage tarps. We sell a lot of those, but that's a 6 mil plastic tarp there. The other one that I was talking about, we call that the lazy garden. That's the woven. Are you familiar with the woven fabric some people use in the garden? That's their lazy garden is made of that type of material.
I tell you what,
water can pass through it.
This kills all your weeds before the season starts too. If you just keep it here. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, everything dies in there because of the heat under it. I mean, oh my God. You know what? I always try to keep everything.
The lazy garden kit right there on the banner there behind there. That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, right in back, right there. Oh,
no, it moved on us.
It moved. Well, we'll get to it. Let me see. Light kits, indoor seed light kits. There we go. That sounds good. Oh, here we go. So something for the person that's not like growing stuff all the time, but growing their herbs and stuff. This works out really well.
You can also use it for seed starting. We use it for starting a lot of seeds early in the springtime. Now all of our light kits have LED lights, so they last a little bit longer. They're cooler. That's one of the main things about an LED light. You don't have to worry about burning your plants because they operate a lot cooler than a regular light does.
And irrigation kits. Let's see what the hell you guys have for irrigation kits. Okay. Now, every single vegetable you grow is under some certain type of irrigation?
No. So things like mustard greens, if it is a short-term crop that's within maybe 40, 45 days, I don't put irrigation under it. A lot of times I don't put my potatoes, my Irish potatoes under irrigation. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But things that I may grow during the wintertime, I may not use drip irrigation, but just about everything that we use in the summertime has got drip irrigation on it.
And do you use 8mm or 15?
We used a 15 for things like asparagus, blackberries, and things where the tape is going to be there from 4 to 5 years without moving it. Now we use the 8mm for our vegetables that we're going to be, moving from year to year.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the vegetables. Let's talk about cucumbers and some of your favorite types. Anything you want to talk about? I'll go on down. Name some of your favorite cucumbers.
Oh, well, I love the Calypso cucumber, which is a pickling type. That is one of our top sellers right there. That's a great one right there. It has some disease resistance. We out of stock on that. Okay. That's one reason I like it so well. We're out of stock, I see. But we added to this year, we added to the Pollinator series, which we've been working on for the last few years. We added a Pollinator slicer that is right there. And what is so good about this slicer here, now these different types of cucumbers, this particular slicer right here is classified as a monoecious variety. And that means it has the male and the female flower on that plant. We recommend trellising this slicer because it has a long harvest time there, but it has very good disease resistance to it. And it just loads up with fruit for a long period of time. And we love that about this slicer cucumber here. And just wonderful disease resistance, because it's one thing to plant it, but it's another thing for it to be able to grow and for you to be able to harvest off of it. And having good disease resistance makes that possible.
That can make or break a season is with the disease pressure, and so that's very important right there, right off the bat. You want your greatest disease resistant package in any kind of vegetable you could grow.
Yep.
Any other cucumbers that we should look at that somebody had never seen before, maybe?
Oh man,
They're all
pretty good. We'll talk about, I think we're out of it now, but we'll talk about what if you don't have pollinators, because with most cucumbers, you have to have a pollinator. But we're going to add one this fall called Sweet Success, which is a Partha carpet type cucumber, which if you don't have pollinators, you can grow this particular one. This is the one that they also call them seedless types. So if people have the problem where they burp cucumbers a lot, they can eat these seedless types. Well, the one we're going to add this fall is called Sweet Success, and it is a Partha carpet type where you do not have to have pollinators or honeybees. With any of the monoecious or gynoecious types, you have to have honeybees and pollinators to help, set your fruit.
I have grown that cucumber in the past and always had great success, and that's the reason why, because you don't need anything. Pollinators are now in your area. You finding a lot less pollinators.
Yeah, we really struggle down here. We've gotten better in the last 3 or 4 years. I keep honeybees on my place here, so I've got 3 hives here. I try to keep at least 1 hive here, honeybees, pretty much year round. But we're under such intense farming pressure down here. It's really rough on our bees because we have a lot of pesticide applications, and it stresses our bees out a lot. So being able to plant wildflowers, to plant pollinators in the garden, and to do a pollinator-friendly garden is really important for us.
Now, do you plant like marigolds or any other flowers all over your place?
We do.
Now, what's some of your favorite things to plant?
We love to plant sunflowers. We love to plant zinnias. We love to plant cover crops. Just right now, I got a cover crop out there of hairy vetch, which is a legume, and the bees are just loving it. I was out there earlier today. So we like to plant cover crops that work for 2 things. They keep our nutrient cycle alive. They scavenge those nutrients. They give back organic matter back to our soil, but also they're good for our pollinators. Buckwheat's another one that the bees love. So when we look at cover crops, we look at that from a 3-pronged way of looking at it. We want it to be good for our soil, but we also want it for pollinators, and we want it to work in our cycle to keep our nutrients in cycle there. We love to plant zinnias. Zinnias, a lot of different flowers I love to grow in the garden to help our pollinators.
So here's the hairy vetch, guys, that Greg was talking about. So that's what it looks like right there.
Yeah, bees love it. We got another one called Super Bee Flacilla that I got growing in my garden. And Super Bee Flacilla right there, that is probably the best cover crop period for bees. They absolutely love that. And it scavenges nutrients really well. So it works in there. If you got a plot that you need to let lay out a little bit, that Super Bee Flacilla is a wonderful in the early spring or maybe the late fall.
See, I think that's one of the things that we lack is nobody grows this. They really don't. You go around, I would say 95% of the gardens, there is nothing for pollinators besides their garden. So, of course, they're not going to come and get attracted to it, So this is pretty cool. Cover crops are so important. I know I got to get more into it, especially in the fall, planting your cover crop and do it that way too. But for bees, this is pretty cool. I like this a lot. I can see that. I can see them get really attract the bees. Like, oh, look at that!
And they love it.
And what other cover crop do you like?
I love all the clovers, man. I'm a big clover fan. Bees love that one as well. Buckwheat, crimson clover is probably my favorite. We got a couple more clovers, but crimson is just so beautiful. Our crimson is winding down right now. It's pretty much went through the majority of its bloom, but our bees love it. And it being a legume, there again, it gives back to the soil. You got the organic matter that you're adding back when you work it into the soil, but that legume is capturing that nitrogen and other nutrients and is recycling in those. So that's the great thing about those clovers.
Okay. So for tomatoes, what are some of your favorite tomatoes?
Wow, that's a good one there. So we'll start with the determinate type. And I'm assuming that all your listeners out there know what a determinate type is. The best way I like to describe a determinate is it's going to have a determinate height that's going to get. That's pretty much going to be it. We get 3 crops off of it. We get the bottom crop, the middle crop, and the top crop. And these are generally about 10 days in between those crops. And then that plant is through. Normally it loads up with a heavier fruit load than an indeterminate does. But when it gets through with its cycle, it's one and done. It's over with. So here in the South, we love those determinate type varieties. And the ones that I love, my 3 favorite determinate type is the Haas Tools series. And we call it straight Haas Tools, the Red Snapper, and the Bella Rosa. That is my all-time 3 favorite determinate types right there. And the reason is because they make that big slice of tomato that we all love to make a tomato sandwich with. They have great disease resistance, but yet they taste great as well. So, yeah, that's probably our best seller right there, that Haas-Nator.
That's one tomato I have never ordered yet.
Yep.
I have like 800 tomatoes. I got to get this one ASAP.
Yep.
Oh, this is awesome. And
it doesn't take any pruning. So the Haas-Nator, you just don't have to prune it, unlike your indeterminates.
And there's your
Bella Rose is an old variety right there we've had for a long time. It's really great tasting tomato there. I probably grew it more than I have any other variety.
Now it's about an 8-ounce tomato, right? Somewhere around.
Yep.
Yeah. So you get, and they only grow about 4 feet, right? Something like that, because it's determined.
Yeah, the Bella Rosa doesn't seem to be quite as tall of a plant. The Haas-Nator is going to be about 4 to 5 feet. The red snapper is going to be about 4 to 5 feet, and that Bella Rosa is going to be about 3.5 to 4 feet.
There it is. And anytime you can grow, what do you think about each plant? About 40 pounds worth of tomatoes?
Probably, yes, somewhere in there. If we have a good year, it don't take many tomatoes for us to have enough. I mean, a 10, 15-foot row of those right there, they give us all we need. Now, I normally stagger my plantings, so I got a plant of red snappers now that's probably about knee high. I got some Haas-Nators that are coming along behind that, and I got one more crop behind that, and that'll be it for the springtime. But one thing about these three that I just mentioned to you out there, the red snapper, the Haas-Nator, and the Bella Rosa, all three of those come from a breeding program from cicada seeds. And one good thing about their varieties is they load up with foliage. They have really dense foliage, and we need that here in the South to protect our tomatoes from sun scald. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason I like those varieties so well, is because the intense foliage, they taste great and have a great disease package to them.
Yeah, nothing like getting that. You see your tomato and it looks all red from far away, and you can't wait to go get it. Then you look at it, oh, it's sun scald. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hate when it happens at the beginning of the year. Because in New Jersey, what happens is we'll have some 70-degree days, and all of a sudden you have 2 days at 95 degrees, 100 degrees, and all of a sudden it kind of gives you a whooping, you know?
Yep.
How about cherry tomatoes?
Cherry tomatoes, sun sugar is my all-time favorite one. I believe it's right there. That one there has a very high sugar content in it. Most of your yellow tomatoes, for some reason or other, taste a little bit better than any of the rest of them. Our mind plays with our taste buds sometimes, but if you blind taste test somebody, that sun sugar will win just about every time on a tasting.
I have grown sun sugar and sun gold, and I love both of them. Man, they really don't make it in the house too much.
Right.
Actually, on that one, I'm growing that one indoors right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because when my grandsons come from across the street, oh, tomatoes, and it's all right. We got to wait a couple more weeks for it to come back again.
Yeah. Now, if you want a red one, what's the one? I'm trying to think. I'm having a brain cramp. 100 Super Sweet 100, which has been around forever. That's a good red one.
Let me see. Now there's a big beef improved tomato, and there's a big beef tomato. Do you know what the difference of that is?
I do. Matter of fact, last week on our show, we had the breeder on talking about that. So the big beef, they call it the Plus series. So the Big Beef Plus, the Yellow Boy Plus, the Better Boy Plus, Big Beef Plus, Better Boy Plus, Lemon Boy Plus, and Purple Boy Plus, and Celebrity. They're coming out with a plus series on those, and those are going to have extra disease resistance to them. Now, a couple of them there, I believe it's maybe the Big Beef is going to have what they call the crimson gene in it.
Okay.
But they're making improvements mostly with disease resistance in those varieties.
Yeah, I've been noticing those all over the place. The Celebrity, the Big Beef. So I'm like, I wonder what is the disease difference?
They call them markers. So they call them markers. So they'll go after, let's just give you an example, tomato spotted wilt virus. We have a tough time with that down here. So they can identify that marker within their breeding program. They can breed that variety to pick up that trait to be resistant to that particular disease. And that's what they've done on those 5 varieties right there.
Here's their purple boy tomato.
Yep.
So I haven't really seen that, but here's your super sweet 100. It's all over the Northeast, and this has grown tremendously here in New Jersey. That is definitely one of my favorites.
That one there has been around since the 60s. I actually had a conversation with one of the ladies that was on the panel that chose that variety right there back in the 60s. She told me the way they chose that variety, they was at a big trial. And they was all sitting around and they was tasting these varieties, trying to pick out one, which one was going to make it, which ones was not going to make it. And she said, one of the judges says, go get that super sweet tomato off of row 100. And that's the way it got its name.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's what the next variation of super sweet 100 is going to be.
I think it's probably going to stay the same. That's an old Syngenta variety right there.
Sweetheart's tomato. I like that as a little bit of a grape. What grows really well too as a determinate type is the Chef's Choice series. So they've been coming out with a variety of those for the last couple of years.
A lady named Patty out in California is responsible for that line of tomatoes there. Patty is getting close to retirement age, and she's going to probably give it up in the next couple of years. But she is one that developed that Chef's Choice line there.
And there's for the people that grow down south, there's the Florida 91 tomato.
Florida 91 is a great heat set variety. So if you're trying to grow one to set heat when it's very, very hot, that's the one. It was released by the University of Florida years ago.
Now in Florida, when do you start your tomatoes? And what is actually your growing season for a Florida tomato?
Well, let's just go with mid-Florida because, Florida is such a diverse state. Mid-Florida, they would probably plant in the ground probably around the end of February.
Man, I wish I could do that.
So we put ours out I put my first planting out around mid-March.
Okay.
So you want me to go over my favorite indeterminate types?
Yes, whatever you want. That sounds good to me. Good. Yep,
okay.
That sounds good.
So my favorite indeterminate types, and we touched on it just a minute ago, is Purple Boy, Lemon Boy. We did a blindfold taste test about 3 years ago, and Lemon Boy actually won it. But that Purple Boy right there, and it's a spinoff of the old Cherokee Purple. But this tomato doesn't necessarily have the same shape that old Cherokee Purple does. This is more of what a regular tomato nowadays looks like, the round type tomato. It has very good flavor to it. Of course, it has very good disease resistance and has very good vigor. It's an indeterminate type, but Purple Boy is one of my favorite indeterminates out there. I grow it every year. My next one would be Lemon Boy, which is a first cousin to Purple Boy. Lemon Boy has that bright lemon color to it. Now, if you blindfold somebody and let them taste this one right here, it's going to be hard to beat this tomato. Wonderful taste to it.
And it's less acid than the tomato too because the yellow type. Is that correct?
Right. And a lot of that taste comes down to personal preference, but that tomato right there tastes wonderful to us. And then if you want a regular red tomato, just a red sliced tomato, I like Big Beef and I like Better Boy as well.
We grow a lot of Big Beef in New Jersey. That's what we grow a lot. That's because it's disease resistant package with that too, the Big Boy. And I'm interested in growing the improved type, like you said before. Let me see what we have. Saucy Lady. So that's which paste tomatoes do you like to grow?
All right. On paste tomatoes, we grew one last year. We started off from last year called Shelby. Shelby is one that is a determinate type. It doesn't get quite as tall as your sliced tomatoes. It probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 feet high at most. But you got to trellis it up because it just loads up with fruit. But Shelby was a big winner for us here down in the South. We love Shelby tomatoes for making those sauces and things like that.
And how about grape?
Taki would be my second pick. Taki would be. I like Shelby first and Taki next.
Okay. Cream of the crop. That's interesting.
Yep.
But you know what's great about this site and what you have here is you have a lot of different tomatoes that everybody else grows that they don't have in their sites. So
yep.
If you're look at different type of tomatoes, go to Haas Tools, check these tomatoes out because my eyes are like, whoa, this is awesome. I got to get this kind.
We've already got the you see the Celebrity Plus over there. We've already transitioned to the Plus series on that particular one.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how much more of a yield you will get.
I don't think yield is going to be a big factor. I think it's just going to be strictly disease resistance.
Okay. Let me see what else. Okay, how about peppers?
Peppers. Everybody loves peppers. We've got a line of peppers that we've started. We're going to improve on that later on. We got the Haas-Nader bell pepper. And we got the Haas-Nader jalapeno pepper. That's the only two Haas-Nader lines we have right now. But our Haas-Nader bell pepper that makes one of those big old jumbo bell peppers, great disease resistant as well. You're going to find that's a signature thing that I keep repeating. But the Haas-Nader bell pepper has tomato spotted wilt virus resistance there, which is hard to find in a bell pepper. It's going to turn red if you leave it on the vine there. If you want to pick it green, you can. It's going to load up with fruit. Just a great all-around bell pepper that's going to be easy for you to grow.
So, Greg, do you do all the garden work and you just bring it to the wife and she does all the cooking?
No, this is kind of the way we do. I married a girl off the farm, so she's no stranger to hard work. I grow it and she picks it, she harvests it, and then she carries it to the kitchen, does her thing.
See, my biggest thing is I love to cook, but I don't have the time to. I can't do both. And my wife's allergic to bees, even honeybees. She went to the hospital 3 times with honeybees.
Wow.
So it's more like I do the work, I bring it inside, and let her deal with it.
Yeah.
I just don't. So that's the way it works here. That's all.
I don't know about you guys, but I love poblano peppers. I fell in love with poblano peppers a few years ago. We have one called Theorbomb, I believe is the name of it. But there it is right there. I love poblanos. I love to put them on the grill and stuff them. I just love the flavor of them.
And they're very abundant. You get a lot of peppers out of the poblanos on one plant.
Yep.
And they're nice sized peppers too.
Yeah. As far as bananas, we got one called Gold Rush, which is probably my favorite. I love bananas as well. I'm not much of a hot pepper guy. Yep, there's Gold Rush right there. That's a very prolific variety there. It just loads up. As a matter of fact, I got some fruit already on some of my pepper plants. I will be picking Gold Rush banana peppers within the next week, probably.
And what do you use I can't even talk. Your hot peppers, what do you do with them? Do you dehydrate them? Do you cook with them? Do you do everything with them? Is it too hot for somebody in your family? Like, oh, I can't.
Oh yeah, we don't do the hot stuff. We do a little sauce and stuff like that, and we'll spice up a little bit. But those hot peppers, I just cannot do them.
I get it. I totally.
Yeah.
Well, you just broke Operation Capsation's heart thing because he was asking, have any 1 million Scoville ones?
Yeah. I'm not that guy that's going to eat the hot peppers with you. I just can't take it.
I love dehydrating hot peppers.
Yeah.
What a taste difference. I think the culinary world, they never went into it because you try a hot pepper, you can't eat it. The hot peppers. Not many people can. But if you dehydrate them, what a taste difference in some of your foods. I love it. Just have some rice, have some dehydrated hot pepper, put it on it, and wow, it's perfect. That's all you need.
You know, habanero has a great, if you can get by the heat, habanero has a great flavor to me. I love the actual flavor of habanero.
Yeah. And you know what's great about dehydrating them? You could just, just sprinkle, put some in a little salt shaker, and you just adjust how much heat you want.
Yep.
Okay, what else you got here? Serranos, your jalapenos. How about your Benet pepper? Bayonet, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Bayonet, I'm having a hard time. Yeah, that's a good bell pepper. I would probably choose our Haas Tools series. It's probably going to get a little bit bigger than that variety there, Will. Now, one is, you see the orangey sweet, the right on red pepper, that's big varieties for us right there. Those are pimento types that we love. They're really good for stuffing and putting on the grill as well.
And they're pretty thick, right?
Mm-hmm. They are.
So it's nice to put, it's really nice to put on a grill. Oh, there's your ghost pepper, Operation Capsaicin. There's your ghost pepper. Your time bomb. There's your habanero. This is a very good habanero pepper here.
Yep.
Gold Fortune. I love looking at peppers. I could stare at this stuff all day. Oh, your Scotch bonnet. I love Scotch bonnets.
Yep.
So there's definitely hot peppers to pick from there. And there's your...
Okay, you see right above that, the Lemon Delight and the Ruby Delight?
Yes.
Those are great varieties. If you've got somebody who wants to grow a container, those are great container varieties right there. It's kind of semi-compact.
These are great for snacking. I like this a lot. My niece and nephew, they snack on these all the time.
Yeah.
And how many peppers you think you get per plant off a container into container grown?
Wow, probably a dozen if you treated them right over time.
There's nothing when you see a pepper turn. It's like, all right, it's almost there, but it's so hard because they start off. Now those babies, I call them babies. Do they all start at green too, or they turn right yellow from the beginning?
They start. You talking about the Delight series?
Yes, the Delight series.
Gosh, that's a good question. I hadn't grown them in a year or two. I would say they probably color up pretty quick.
They color up, okay. And is there any other seeds you want to go over or types right now, or?
Oh, let's look at green beans. Do y'all guys grow green beans up there?
Definitely. Beans. Butter beans. Oh, that's interesting. String beans. What would it be under? Would it just be under
beans? Just go to beans category.
There it is. Okay.
All right. So we got a Haas Green Blaze right there that you guys see right there. This one right here has been awesome for us. What is good about this? It's a good straight bean, but it's extremely heat tolerant. So you can grow this one pretty much. You guys would be able to grow this during the summer, during the middle of summertime. We can grow it all the way up to probably maybe the end of June. The most heat tolerant green bean out there, good disease resistance, a high performer, has performed exceptionally well for us right there. I recommend this one all the time. Now, this is a bush bean, but it's a great one. If we move over to pole beans, you guys are probably aware of the one I'd recommend next, which is called Rattlesnake, which is an old heirloom variety.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Stream bean.
Yeah, that's the pole bean we love to grow right there.
You know what? You guys grow in little spaces. This is the way to grow, guys.
It is.
Put a little trellis there. You don't need too many plants, and you get so many string beans in this little space. Pole beans. Yeah, and they're fascinating to look at. Yep. They really are. And let me see. Landreth, I like the Landreth blue. Like that's your traditional beans. They want a little color when they grow. You got the Royal Burgundy. And they grow, when you cook them, they turn green, right?
Yep.
Wax beans. Actually, you know what? Wax beans have always been my favorite. Maybe because it's easy to digest. I don't know if that's true or not. I was always told yellow beans are easier to digest.
Are y'all familiar with Tapazio, which is a lot of people call them the cranberry beans?
No, I haven't grown it.
So that one there is grown a lot in the mountains up in Tennessee and Appalachia. They grew a lot of that up in that region up in there. North Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina is predominantly grown up there. They'll shell them out and they'll put them in and they'll can them for the wintertime. So it's been a staple for their food source up in the mountains for years.
Now, when you're talking about when you shell them, what do you use them with? Like you could put them in a chili too, or what kind of?
Yeah, so they'll dry them, they'll cook them green, put them in the freezer that way, or they'll either dry them down like and put them in a jar, and they'll reconstitute them and boil them up like a dry bean would be. Have really good flavor to them. They have pretty color to them. It's just cranberry bean. What else they call them? There's a couple of slang terms for them up in the mountains. Cranberry. I can't think of the other one, but if you go up in the hills, you'll see the tapazia of the cranberry bean.
This is pretty cool. The Christmas Lima pole butter bean. I love.
Yeah, we've grown that one down here for a long time. That right there is a good one. There again, if you've got small space, you can trellis this thing. You can stand up and pick your butter beans. Now, this is a large bean. This is more like a Fort Hook or a large bean, butter bean. If you want something smaller, like a regular size, I just found one last year. We call it the Reverend Taylor. It's an old heirloom variety that I found over in about the middle of the state of Alabama. And it is a smaller speckled butter bean, which is also a runner as well. And you can trellis it just like you would the Christmas lima there. And it'll make all the way till frost.
And watermelon. Let me see some watermelon, because we talked about it before, and there's nothing like looking at a nice size watermelon. You know what's really interesting is when you look at watermelons today in stores, the only thing you have is the smaller watermelons. You can't get the big ones that you grew up with anymore. And that's the biggest thing.
Well, the breeders have bred for that. Yep. The breeders have bred for those smaller type watermelons because most people don't have room in the refrigerator for one of those big watermelons. So the consumer tend to buy smaller type watermelons.
You know, I never
seen my sons go at it then. They'll polish off one of those big monster ones. Boom. Hour later, we want another one.
So my two favorite watermelons is Yellow Doll, which is the yellow one right there that you see. That's one I got planted this year right there. That is one of those smaller type watermelons, extremely sweet watermelon right here. And that's it's one of my all-time favorites right there. It makes a little small, probably around a 15 to 18 pound fruit. My second favorite one is going to be Sangria. Sangria is probably the one I recommend the most because of its disease resistance. And it's that larger watermelon that we were speaking of there. It's that dark red watermelon, the traditional watermelon we know, but it has extremely good disease resistance. So I always recommend Sangria for a first-year watermelon grower. Now, you guys up north that have those shorter seasons, we got one called Blacktail Mountain. That's a shorter maturing watermelon. And for you guys, it would probably be the choice for y'all because y'all might have a hard time growing the Sangria.
Wow, I love that. Look at that. So if you have any questions in the chat, just make sure we're going to answer them now. It's already 8 o'clock. Just make sure it's all caps so it's easier to see. If it's not in all caps, I cannot see them.
Right.
So
I got a quick question for Greg.
Sure.
Do you plant anything amongst your tomatoes to keep the tomato worms away?
I do not. My wife's into that a little bit. She has some raised beds and she's experimented with some things like that. You talking about maybe a trap crop, something to draw them away?
No, what I'm talking about is something called borage.
Oh, I'm familiar with borage.
Yeah, because I know my wife started planting it around her tomatoes there in California about 5 years ago, and there's not been a tomato hornworm on our property since.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what's great about it is it attracts a ton of bees, and the bees that visit the borage plant are very mellow afterwards. I mean, there'll be a swarm of bees out there. You can go out there, and they won't even bug you.
Borage. I'm going to have to try that.
So, Greg, we got from Tropical Buzz. What's your solution for killing lubber grasshoppers?
That's a tough one there. It's extremely tough to do organically. There is a product out there called, it's a pyrethroid, It's a synthetic product. So it works good on them when they're small. Once these things get big, you're not going to do anything with them. But if you're going to go after them when they're small, use something like a pyrethroid to try to knock them down, stop them from reproducing. That's going to be your best thing. But you got to hit them when they're small.
So Kel's Crochet Corner goes, what is the name of the tomato that you said you prefer for a tomato sandwich?
For us, we prefer those determinate types, which is the Pollinator, the Red Snapper, and the Bella Rosa. Those kind you can slice one time, and it's big enough to cover that whole slice of light bread. That's a Southern term, light bread.
And, I love that you have your Pollinator series. Now, do you have those? Do you grow those and sell them from your own place, or you have other places?
No, sure. No, we have breeders that grow those for us, and we'll go to their trials all over the country, and we'll pick those varieties that meet our standards to make the Pollinator series, and they give us the exclusives on that particular variety.
So just make sure any questions are all in caps. And Greg, thank you so much for coming on today. This is great. There's so much information. I'm super excited. I feel like it's just March, not even March yet. Okay, let's go buy some seeds. Let's go. I'm definitely a hoarder for seeds.
Yeah.
Okay, 2% says, can you ask Haas to say zinnias and maters?
Zinnias and maters. That's what we like to grow here in the South.
I love the accents that we all have. You have people from all over the world in this chat. You have people from Australia, Canada, India, just from all over the world are in this chat. It's really amazing. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.
It's amazing. Even the little county that we live in down here, these parts of the county that has a little different dialect than other parts does. It even changes. It changes within certain regions of where we live here in the South.
Now, do you ship worldwide?
We do on tools and irrigation and supplies. We do not on seeds. So seeds is kind of a problem to ship internationally. You have to have phytosanitary records and all that kind of stuff. So we don't ship seeds out of the country. We do ship tools and supplies.
Chris has a question. Does anybody have good luck growing stevia? And do you have anything to say about growing stevia?
This is my first year growing stevia. So we're added a complete line of herbs that we're growing this year, and I'm excited to be growing stevia this year. It's a new thing to me. And we're also turmeric. So we're offering turmeric on our website as of tonight, and we're going to be selling turmeric. So we got some interesting things as far as herbs coming along, and stevia being one of them. So it's kind of new to me, and I'm learning just like everybody else. But I got fascinated with herbs a couple of years ago, and I went down that rabbit hole, and it's amazing how many herbs we got out here and what some of their purposes are.
So I Love to Crochet says, where do you live?
We're in a little town called Moultrie, Georgia, which is about an hour above Tallahassee, Florida. So we're in South Georgia, South Central Georgia.
Now, if you have a lot of joint pain or inflammation in the body, what kind of seeds do you recommend?
Well, turmeric has got all kind of benefits to it. I've been reading on it for the last couple of weeks, and I'm just amazed at what all turmeric would do. And I'm going to be planting some of that within the next week, though. So turmeric to me is probably got most health benefits of everything I've seen lately.
Now, how about the person that has hard problem growing any kind of food? To me, if you show love to your plant, the plant will show love to you. But we got a question here for Dark Lord Minute. How do you deal with the person that kills plants just by walking past them?
A lot of times the biggest problem people have with plants is they try to do too much to them. Sometimes you just need to leave them alone, let them do their own thing. If you just give them some water and give them a little food and just get out of their way, they'll do their own thing. I think people try to help them along too much and cause a lot of damage there. So just do the basics and get out of the way.
Now, this is a many question, but question by many. Anything that works to prevent squash the vine borer?
I always tell people on squash vine borer, you got to do good housekeeping. You don't want to leave any of that residue around from the previous crop. And believe it or not, cover crops will also help with that. Their generation help to break it. So good housekeeping, not leaving that dead debris around. And as soon as your crop is over with, plenty of cover crop in there. And there is some organic methods out there that you can use when they're in the nymph stage. Spinosad, neem, any of those will kill them in the nymph stage. The problem with those borers is once they get inside that the tube there, the plant, or get inside that plant, there's nothing you can do at that point.
So Will goes, would you recommend something for onions rather than ammonium sulfate?
Yeah, so we always recommend a good balanced fertilizer, and I don't care whether it's a 10-10-10 or 20-20-20 or a 3-4-5 organic as your base. You want to use that as your base, and you want to use the ammonium sulfate as a supplement for your nitrogen source. You don't want to use just ammonium sulfate, but ammonium sulfate in conjunction with a good micronutrient package such as boron, magnesium, all those things, and a good balanced fertilizer is how we grow these big onions.
You know, that's a lot of problems people have growing onions. They start growing them, they can't wait, and all of a sudden nothing happens, nothing's bulbs. They choose the wrong onion type. Is it long day, short day? You know.
I tell people this right here on onions. If you'll do these three things, you'll be successful. Choose the right type of onion, plant it at the right time, and fertilize it the right way, and you'll make big, fine onions.
What kind of onion is the best? What kind of soil is the best for onions?
A sandy loam soil works best down where we live.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So, Greg, I guess that's all. 1 second. What is one more question? Last question, I guess. 2%. What is the best bulbs for growing in pots inside? What kind of bulbs?
Bulbs. I don't know exactly what they're talking about. It's bulbs, maybe.
Yeah, 2%. Can you? What kind of bulbs? What kind of bulbs for inside? So we'll just wait for her.
I think she may talk about like something like a like the data lilies or something like that, a bulb, flower type thing.
We grow elephant garlic, and we actually grew some onions in root pouches in containers. And elephant garlic, we grow those in containers. This turmeric that we're going to be selling grows well in containers because you can move it inside during the wintertime.
Oh, okay. She's asking bulbs for the light bulbs.
Oh, okay. So we sell the LED lights that are made specifically for grow lights is what we sell. And the main thing, this is what I tell people about grow lights. You know, an LED light is an LED light. I don't care where you get it from. It's an LED light. The difference in going to Home Depot or Lowe's and buying a LED light and getting a grow light is the way the dome inside there, where it focuses down that light. So most of your grow lights that are made for growing have some type of dome or deflector to deflect that light down on that tray. Unlike if you just used a regular household LED light, it's going to diffuse that light everywhere. So that's the main difference there with LED lights, is make sure you get one that's made for growing plants, that has that deflector to put that light exactly where you want it.
So Juby says, or Juliana, she goes, can you grow onions on an edge of your garden bed with other plants? Will those fertilizers mess up with your tomatoes and peppers?
They shouldn't. I normally recommend a calcium nitrate instead of ammonium nitrate. So you could, but if you could separate them out enough and use the two different types of nitrogen on those, I think you'd be better served.
Awesome. So let me see 1 second. One second. What is this? Any light that's full spectrum 5K lumen works. So that's not a question. That's advice. Awesome. Well, Greg, thank you so much for coming on. Greg's giving away 2 heirloom seed collection. Well, 1 pollinator and 1 heirloom seed collection today. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
One last little question in there, just under the one you have highlighted there from Gina versus Gina. Yeah. do you have a store in Moultrain?
We do not have a store, but you're more than welcome to call in an order. We'll have it pulled for you. You can come out here and pick it up.
Awesome. Any more questions in the chat? Please write them down right now before Greg goes. And some people are saying, thank you for Greg for coming, thanks, and stuff like that. Well, Greg, thank you so much. This was excellent. Hopefully we could come on and you could come on in the near future again. I think this is a great interview for a lot of people here, and hopefully some people go out to your site and buy it like I'm going to do very soon.
I spotted a couple things tonight that I want to pick up.
Thank you so much, Greg. And
thank y'all.
Tell your wife says, good luck cooking for the rest of the year. Greg, do you cook? What's your favorite?
I do. I love the grill, so I'm the griller out of the bunch. So if it's outside cooking, I normally do it. She takes care of the stuff inside.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Greg. I'll talk to you in the near future. Thank you. And I'll email you everything that needs to be done. And I'll get that out tomorrow to you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Take care. That was great, huh?
Oh, fantastic. One of the things I have to say is Mimsy's Garden sent me several years ago some of the potting mix from Haas, and that was fantastic stuff. The first time I used potting mix here in Idaho.
There's just, there's so much information to get out of these interviews. I really hope people really. I wish somebody would write them down. Oh, little things. Yeah.
You just had a big channel come in here. Let me scroll back up here. It's Dr. Where'd it go? Dr. Paula Ruffin, DC. She has a great channel. I've been following her for a while too.
Awesome. Welcome in. Anybody's new here? We have a registration video out each week. And the only thing you have to do is leave a comment in that registration video and you can put on the wheel. And I give out seeds, hot sauce, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I start off each Sunday with the interview. I have a different co-host every week. Now, we have two great interviews coming up. One's going to be with Gary Pilarczyk. If you guys seen him on YouTube, he's going to come up in 2 weeks, and we're going to have somebody from. Well, it's going to be a repeat. And I just forgot his mind. I'm trying to get it go through my mind. But it's the guy from Baker's Creek. Oh, Richie Ramsey. There we go. It took a couple seconds. Richie Ramsey is going to be on. It should be on next week. And so we're working on that. So next week it's going to be next 2 weeks. That's, I was thinking about taking a week off. But when people start coming to you, hey, I'm free this week. You got to go, okay, let's go. Game is on.
Oh, yeah.
Game on. So, Gil, tell everybody about your channel. What is your two channels about, and what time do you go on?
Okay, so Gray Man, all right. Gray Man Prepping is my resurrected channel. I started it years ago when I was working for Homeland Security, and I was putting out little videos because everything was changing so much with Customs Border Protection, TSA, immigration, all little rules, stuff were changing. I was putting out little videos on it, and then my boss saw that and goes, heck, those agencies ought to be doing their own. So he ordered them to put out their own videos. So I just let it go by the wayside. But I started Camppatton Family Compound when I moved up here to Idaho for my retirement home. And so Camppatton Family Compound is my homesteading, gardening, learning how to get back to nature type, type stuff here in Idaho. And then the Gray Man Prepping is all things prepping, everything I've learned over the since 1971 when I started teaching emergency preparedness. And so I try to do that. So basically my live streams on Monday is Camppatton Family Compound at 10 o'clock Eastern. Tuesday, Tactical Tuesday for Gray Man Prepping at 10 o'clock Eastern. Midnight Thursday night for Gray Man Prepping, just kind of an open chat type of thing. And then Friday is Friday night on the homestead for Camppatton Family Compound. Those are my 4 live streams during the week. And then I put out a daily one on Gray Man Prepping called Your Prep for Today. Talk about little things just suggestions. Hey, think about this. Add this to your prep, maybe.
Oh, and thank you for all the super chats and memberships today. And thank you for the members that have been here for a long time. I know Annabelle's been a member for 8 months. That's crazy. I feel like I just met Annabelle a couple months ago, like 2-3 months ago. She's been a member for 8 months.
Somebody came up here. They were up members for 20 months.
Isn't that awesome?
That name popped up way back, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it. But thank you for all the memberships. The memberships really help this channel grow and helps me with the get. Look, Cal's Crochet Corner.
Got a question there from Juliana. Okay, big question. Camppatton. Camppatton came about when our boys first started Cub Scouts. When I met my wife, the staff sergeant, she was staff sergeant in the United States Army. And because of the problems with logistics, you change your name in the Army, it's a big problem. And so she's kept her last name Campbell. And Patton's my last name. So she created an email to deal with scouts called Camppatton, one word. And yeah. So that's where Camppatton came from. And then the family compound came from the property my parents had in the 60s up in Martinez, California, where it was called the family compound because all the cousins, everything always came over there for parties. Okay,
so Gil, we have Nisi and Gemma. They're already down below watching. But right now I want to spin the wheel quick. So we're going to do the seed collections from Haas Tools. So the first one's going to be the Heirloom collection, the Pollinator collection. Then I have some jumbo yarn and this book. This is from Jesse and Lisa, the Fresh from the Garden. Look at some of the stuff you could make from there, right? All garden related. And then after that, I'm going to give away 3 things after Gemma and Nisi come on. I'm going to show you. Actually, you know what? Let me show it right now before they come on because I think this is really cool. This is from Lisa Lady Loves. I got to share it. Hold on. I'm going to give away 3 of these. So they're stitch markers, but it's autism awareness. And I'm going to get 3 of those away. And so if you like this, you like the stitch marker, go to Lisa Lady Loves. Lady Bird Love. Lisa. Lady Bird Loves. My friend Lisa. I love Lisa. And so I'm going to give 3 of those away too. So let me mark that down here. Okay, I already did. So let me mark down a book. Okay, and then we're going to go live. I think that's really awesome. Lady Bird Loves. Okay, so let's go to the wheel quick. If you're in a chat, make sure you want it or give it away. That's up to you. You guys are welcome to share links and do all that stuff. It's all about promoting you guys. It's all about trying to get everybody to come together. Even if you have differences, it doesn't matter. Come together as one. Because we're all in for the same thing. Let me shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Let's get these winners out before we could have our guest up. So the first thing is, let's give away the jumbo yarn. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. Here's the polka. Here's the yarn. Let the winners forget. Jane Doe. Congratulations to Jane Doe. You won some ice cream yarn. Congratulations from Karen. It's jumbo ice cream yarn. I think that's kind of brand. So that's the first winner. Whoop, let me get that back in the bag. Second winner is the book. So if Jane Doe's here, let us know. Fresh from the garden.
She is here. So just waiting for her to comment.
Okay, next winner is Fresh from the Garden. So we're waiting for Jane Doe. There goes the book. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, everyone. Look at Jane Doe's first winner. Who's going to win the book?
All right. She said yes.
All right. The Idaho Garden Girl. So Jane Doe, we got her. She's all set. Idaho Garden Girl won the Fresh from the Garden book. So let us know, Idaho Garden Girl. Now we're going to give 3 of those away that I showed you from Lisa Ladybird Love or Ladybird Loves. So this is pretty awesome. They're stitch markers and they're about autism awareness. So
all right. Idaho Garden Girl said yay.
So I think we're going to get a yay out of that. So that's awesome. So here we go. Idaho, congratulations, Idaho Garden Girl. That is a pretty cool stitch markers, guys. Autism awareness stitch markers. PJ, I don't think PJ's here, and I could definitely give PJ a call. I haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in the chat.
Yeah, she hasn't been around. She's been a member forever. She's one of my longest members. She actually lives in Jersey, about 5 minutes from my work. I miss PJ. Hope she's doing okay. Yarn again. Congratulations, Yarn again. Yarn again, do you want the stitch marker for autism awareness? Let me know. So check out Lisa Ladybird Loves, our Ladybird Loves. I keep on seeing Lisa Ladybird Loves. Ladybird Loves, what am I saying? Lisa's helped me out so much with this now. More than you guys could imagine. Raven Cat. Congratulations to Raven Cat. Let me know if you want the stitch marker. Okay, here's the seed loot. You know, we're going to come back with the Haas Tools seed collections. We're going to come back with those.
Okay, Yarn again said yes, please.
Okay, Yarn again got it. Okay, so it was PJ and Raven Cat. And I think Raven Cat
says yes, please.
Awesome. And PJ is not here. And Idaho Garden Girl, did we get her?
Yeah, she said yes.
Yes, Idaho Garden Girl said yes. Awesome. Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Gil.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 4 out of 5, but not today. We're on a roll.
And just a reminder,
okay, so
if you want it, type in cap letters, I want it. That makes it real easy for us to see it.
Yeah, and guys, check out Ladybird Loves. I love that lady. She's you know what it is? I like people that tell you the truth. And if it's good or bad, we had many arguments over our time. But it's just like, it's okay to disagree. Our whole world, everybody disagrees. And everybody goes, oh, I don't want to talk.
Yes, a new member. Freehandly is a new member.
Oh, thank you, Nisi. Thank you so much. You know, people, it's okay to have differences. It's okay to not get along, but try to come together for something. And with Lisa and I, we get along really, really well. But if something doesn't go right, just don't pat somebody on the back and say, you know, it's help. You know, when I used to argue, when I used to have arguments with some of my, not arguments, when I used to yell at a football player, it'd be like, hey, if I didn't yell at you, that means I wouldn't love you.
All right. So, Raven Cat, it was stitch markers you got. She was asking what you want. She was buffering.
Yes, it's autism awareness stitch markers.
Yeah.
So we welcome in Gemma's Journey, Grace, and Freehandly Made. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Hello.
Gemma, what time is it there?
It's 1:25 a.m.
Good morning.
Girl,
Good morning.
how are you awake right now?
Because I took a nap like several hours ago.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know you
Thank
guys
you for
are either
having me.
busy sleeping during my life or busy with life. And I really appreciate it. And so today, last month was Autism Awareness Month, right? Or is it one month beforehand? You know what's so funny? When I'm putting my work, I'm at a computer all day. I just got done doing March end of the month stuff. So I'm like, what month is it right now? You know, I'm so lost in dates. It's unbelievable. Now, my one of the first persons that I met on the internet was Nisi at Freehandly Made. She's probably the main reason why, actually is the reason why I started doing lives. And she goes, Joe, just go on. I go, maybe next week. Then I see her live. Joe, just go on. Maybe next week. I'm not prepared. And thanks to Nisi is the reason why this channel the way it has. And I appreciate everything you have done just to get me going.
Oh, it's been a blast watching your channel explode, actually. Especially since if you're a person that's been there from the beginning for your friend and you see them explode, it was definitely a joy to watch your channel just grow as fast as it did.
Oh, thank you. See, the one thing that what Joey had, and the reason why I was following Nisi, is because he has a lot of autism organist tics. I call them tics a little bit in a way. And you guys could be totally wrong what I'm saying here. So, and I apologize if I do. But he had things with taste differences. Like if he couldn't eat he couldn't eat 3/4 of the food. If you chopped up basil or something, he would spit it on out. It would need to be totally plain. He would couldn't make eye contact. You know, just things around the spectrum that he had situations like, what's going on here? What is going on? So we noticed that when he was 2 or 3 years old. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that just my mind's mind boggled. And see him today, it's on earth, but it's totally different than what you guys have dealt with. Because I know with Nisi, you probably just got yelled at all the time, right? And you had nobody knew what was going on.
I was always grounded.
Yeah.
If my brother was in the chat, he'd laugh. Taz Adventures is my brother, if people don't know, and Gail is my sissy-in-law, and he could tell you stories. I was always in trouble, always.
Now, you know what? With
they just didn't know back then, you know. They didn't know.
And Gemma, you could just talk anytime you want to. So just kind of, it's just a fluid discussion. Now, when was the first time you think something was different with you? Like, is there something wrong with me? Is there something going on? Why is everybody looking at me a certain way? Is there something else going on in my life that I don't know about? Why does,
I think
go ahead, Gemma.
I think it's the stigma and the thoughts of the assumption with autism. What from my perspective is that a lot of people from the UK, from the UK, see it as that you're damaged or that you're odd or that you're weird. The amount of times that I've been called weird, odd, several other words I'm not going to repeat because they're not suitable to be broadcasted, but people are scared of what they don't understand. And the media at the time in the UK was very against autism. It was seen as you needed to be fixed. You were a disappointment to your family. You were seen as bad behaved, spoiled brat. You were seen as you need to do as you're told and be disciplined. And unfortunately, the UK is still very biased on that aspect. But for me, it was just knowing that why I was different and always having speech delay, things like that I noticed that something wasn't quite right when I was younger. So.
And Nisi, same thing with you?
I noticed something was different as soon as I started kindergarten. I actually got held back because the teacher told my parents I was not mature enough to pass kindergarten. And I had a lot of behavioral issues and whatnot. So, and I just had a hard time making friends and keeping friends because I was different. I didn't understand jokes. I couldn't tell if someone was being mean to me or not. So I thought everybody was my friend. Of course, you all know not everybody is your friend. And that's why I would get in trouble, because I would do whatever so-and-so told me to do, because that's what you do in order to keep a friend, right? So I had a lot of social difficulties. I had some learning disabilities, which they didn't catch until I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
By that time, I mean, half your schooling is done. But yeah, for me, it was kindergarten. I knew I was different than everybody else in my class, and I didn't really understand why. I just knew that I had to blend in so I wouldn't get picked on. So I was my personality changed according to who I was with at the moment.
Now, did you guys ever like rock back and forth, like just like something like this during conversations because of?
Yeah, I do a lot of rocking. I don't do this. I do mine side to side, very subtle, but I'm always moving on camera.
Yeah.
I've actually had in one of my lives, an email from somebody who's like, "Why do you always have to rock in your lives? It's annoying." I'm like, "Well then," and I literally wrote back, "Well then you don't have to watch my channel," and that's literally all I put. Send, because I don't need that kind of intolerance in my world. I've dealt with that enough, and if you can't handle me rocking side to side, then you don't need to watch my channel.
This is what
That's
people
one
don't
cool thing about
understand.
autism is we're honest and we're blunt and we're to the point. We don't sugarcoat.
Yeah. This is what people don't understand. Like, it's also known as what we call self-soothing behavior. So for a lot of us who are on the autistic spectrum, it's a way to self-cope with the amount of sensory stimuli that we get into our head. So for me, I often will, like Nisi says, I'll do it side to side, or sometimes if I am to the point where I'm overwhelmed, I may do it backwards and forwards like this. And like Nisi said, I've also had complaints on my channel, emails, people saying to me, "Can't you just keep still, just sit still, don't fidget?" And I'm like, I have to, because if I don't self-soothe and calm myself down, I'm going to get to the point where my anxiety gets so severe that I either be inappropriate and explode and say something I shouldn't probably say, or I'll end up getting in so much pain that I'll just freeze up and be unable to communicate. So I'd rather be able to self-soothe myself and calm down rather than exploding. So it's my health versus the stereotypical statement.
Now, how about like playing with your nails?
I would have been more willing to explain that to the person who emailed me if they weren't so rude. But since the email was rude, I was just rude right back, which not really isn't the greatest thing to do, but they caught me at a bad day. So it just depends. I have good days and I have bad days.
Do you guys play with your nails a lot to soothe yourself? Like just
I used to be a chronic nail biter, but I'm happy to say they're healthy right now.
Whoop whoop.
I'm saying a lot. But I bite on my cuticles. So my cuticles are pretty rough. And I twirl my hair a lot and I crochet a lot to keep me from biting my nails. I have to keep my hand busy or they're in my mouth. Or I'm messing with my face.
The same as Nisa, I tend to twirl my hair if I get anxious, or if I have my jewelry on, I may sit here and fidget with my bracelets, and people are like, why do you do that? You know, like why can't you just not fidget, or like why do you have to be irritating? And I'm like, well, it's because I start feeling anxious. When I start feeling anxious, my body goes into what I call a kind of sensory overload fight. I'm like, I have to either go into full calm down mode and go, okay, you're a bit uncomfortable, but you're going to be okay, or I go into complete full shutdown and withdrawal, and then I go, okay, I need to completely disappear, because otherwise I'm going to get to a point where my burnout hits so quickly that people think, oh, it's temper tantrum. No, far from it. Temper tantrum is nothing to do with sensory overload. It's kind of a completely different subject.
You know, part of this whole chat, and it's very important to me, it's autism awareness. There's so many people that just totally get put down for it's not their fault, right? It's none of your fault. It's what you guys been through. But people do not know about autism. Still today, people do not know about autism. They just think, hey,
For-
that person's
yeah.
crazy or something. And
For
part of
me, Gemma and I are huge advocates in our community, and mine is mostly acceptance. I advocate mostly for autism acceptance. And I do some awareness things, but it's mostly acceptance that I advocate for. Because I mean, we're in 2023 and there is a lot. I can't speak for the UK because the UK, you guys, if you guys watch Gemma's videos, you understand why I said that. But I would have to say in America, there has been plenty of awareness for the most part, but not much acceptance, even in the schools with the teachers. As you guys know, I was a para for a very short time, and there was one of the elementary teachers literally called my boss's office and said, you need to send one of your paras down here and get this student out. I cannot teach with this student. Why is this student in my classroom? Why do you guys not have separate classrooms for these students? It was an autistic child that was totally over sensory overload, and he was stemming really bad. And one of his stems was vocal stem. And so he was making loud noises, and her screaming at him didn't help. It just made it worse. And so I'm like, okay, that's what inclusion is. Did you not learn that when you went to college? Like, you're a fresh teacher. They should teach you about inclusion. And you still have teachers to this day in our public schools that are 100% against inclusion, and they'll just set that student in the back of the room, let them do whatever they want, and they won't even bother teaching them. I have seen it with my own eyes, and it is a disgrace to our students. They deserve an education.
And
they deserve an education.
To compound that is the administrators
Yes.
have their head where the moon doesn't shine when it comes to this.
Yep. Yes. So, and part of the problem as well is the colleges are not equipping these future teachers on how to deal with different neurodivergent children in their classrooms. They're not taught that. There should be a class, so they're taught that, but they're not being taught that. They get thrown in the classroom like, oh, and by the way, as a side note, you're going to have these kind of students in your classroom. You got to figure out how to manage them and manage the classroom with them in it, which is totally unfair. It's unfair to do that to a teacher. So there's still some major gaps as far as the American public school system. I don't know how it is in the UK, Gemma. You can speak on that, but that's the shortcomings that I'm seeing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty sad when your law enforcement is being taught, but your teachers aren't.
Yeah, the UK is still very far behind on we call autism education in the education system here. I've done a lot of training over the last 6 to 8 years since I've been diagnosed, and the problem that I battle against every single time to these schools or into council meetings where I meet teachers, up and coming teachers who are training, and they say to me, why do we have to do this? Why is it mandatory? And I'm like, because it's under the Autism Act, it's under the Health and Social Care Act, and it's under the Education Act. You are required by law to train yourselves because you are going to be in a situation where you are facing neurodivergent adults who need a bit more support, and you need to be able to communicate with us. And the stigma that I get is, well, you guys should be able to cope in a mainstream environment. I'm like, no, this is the thing, and Nisi's pointing this out as well, is that the fact if you are neurodivergent, the battle is that there's no suitable teachers, or they don't have fidget toys, or they don't have anything to help a neurodivergent person succeed. And I went through the whole education system, obviously not being picked up myself. So when I got to college, which is when I started getting more noticed, my college tutor said to me, do you think you have a personality disorder? And I was like, what the hell are you on about? And then they were like, oh, because you're socially awkward, you don't do eye contact, you're very fidgety. And I was like, I just put down to anxiety for most of the time because I was quite stressed out. I said, I'm just anxious. I've got a lot of coursework to catch up on. And my teacher's like, no, you're behind with your coursework, you're behind with your placement work. There's got to be something wrong with you. And I was like, no, I'm just anxious. And then it got to the point where I had my first ever panic attack back in 2012. And I went to hospital, and the nurse, she screamed at me when I got to the desk. And I said to her, I don't feel very well. Something's wrong. My body feels like I'm burning. I don't know what it is. And she goes, well, you just need to be quiet. You need to calm down. And she got so in my face and was yelling at me. And I
that's
just
going
shut
to help
down.
you calm down.
Just a moment.
Right, Gemma? Sure, I'll calm down while you're yelling in my face.
It's just the worst thing to say, because autistic people don't really like being confronted. So when I was confronted by these people and you get told, why can't you just act normal? What?
We already know that there's something different. We don't need somebody telling us that we're not normal, right?
Exactly.
And what is normal anyway? Normal is definition depends on what your perception is.
Exactly.
And Gemma and I, being females, she was late diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I was also late diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 43. Woodshed theory, Claire, she was late diagnosed. Females tend to get missed because we know how to blend in. We know how to go unnoticed for the most part. Usually until we're to the point where we can't blend in, we can't mask because we're so overstimulated. We're past that point, and now unfortunately we're on this ride until it ends, and we can't regulate, we can't control nothing. That's usually when we get noticed, and then it's like, oh, there's something wrong with her, kind of situation.
I got noticed because I went to my primary care doctor with severe depression and anxiety symptoms, and I said to him, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very stressed out. I stopped eating. I got to a point where I was losing rapid weight. I started getting to a point where I would socially cut myself off. And it got to a point where my mum would at the time I was in, my mum had to force me to shower every day. She'd have to force me to the bathroom to brush my teeth. She would have to force me to wear suitable clothing because I would dress in inappropriate clothing because I wasn't sure of what to wear or what the weather was kind of going to be like. And my mum's like, why is she doing this? Like, why is she finding the everyday basic human things so difficult? And now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm sensitive to temperature, I'm sensitive to pain, I suck at eye contact, I don't like big groups of people, I'm very socially awkward. I get that. And people now, I'm like, why wasn't this picked up when I was a little girl? But in the UK, there was no autism services here till the very earliest was 2011. I wasn't referred until 2012. So it was, I went until 2014. I got my official diagnosis. So I spent 3.5 years fighting. And again, it's down to government targets and money. And because I was over 18 at the time, I was told, oh, you're going to have to either go private or wait the whole 3 years to get diagnosed. And then I ended up starting to self-harm. And that's why I got referred so quickly, because I started pulling my hair out. I was having bald patches on my head. And if it wasn't for the self-harm attempt, I wouldn't have been referred. So it was that trigger to actually go, no, enough's enough. And then I got referred and got therapy, and that's how I ended up getting my diagnosis in the end.
Okay, guys, just one more last thing. I'm sorry, but just, you know what, this whole thing could go on for 2 hours because there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
What?
It's a lot.
Yes. I think most of my little skits can never go on for 10, 15, 20 minutes. They need to go on longer. They really do. One last thing. What days do you guys go live? I know it's hard to go live with autism because some days are good, some days are bad.
I'm doing better here lately. Joe knows I can be really inconsistent, but I've been doing good. I go live Tuesdays. I'm Mountain Time, y'all, so I'll try to convert for you guys. I go live on Tuesdays for What's Up Fam, and that is at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. I think I got that right. And then Saturday at the same time.
For my area.
So same time on Saturdays, Tuesdays and Saturdays, same time.
And Gemma, what time do you go live, or what time do you go
I don't really. I'm quite bad with that. Really, I don't really have a structured timetable. I usually just try and pop up on the odd occasion. So I was live Friday at the British time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, I believe, and then 2 p.m. Mountain Time for this area. But I usually try and go live at least once a week just to kind of answer any questions that people might have, or I will critique some autism articles, and I usually try and go live and talk through them with people. But I'm trying to get a lot better. But usually it's either a Friday at 10 p.m. or a Saturday evening at around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. British time. It's usually the weekends I usually try and aim for.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking just a little bit about autism, where it is, because that's what it is. And I really appreciate you coming on. Hope the guy could have you on for a longer time period.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it, more than you could ever know. So thanks. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Gil, I can't get people off. I'm terrible.
One thing here, there's a argument sort of going on in side chat. Basically, to put it, you're both right. Parents need to know their rights about autism. Schools, administrators, police, public servants need to pull their head out and learn how about what autism is and how to deal with it. So you're both right. Both sides need to learn more about the rights and the responsibilities of autism. Now, that's because my oldest son has Asperger's, which is on the edge of the spectrum, and my oldest grandson has autism bad. I mean, I probably used the wrong word there, but yeah, he's 8 years old now. He's still in pull-ups because he just can't potty train.
You know, when you're a parent and you see it with your own kid, you realize the nature of what goes on. My son has very little friends because he's totally different from people. Yeah. Now you put it in a different perspective in a more of an autism kid. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm probably saying words differently too, but
yeah. Well, it's like I know with my son having Asperger's, his stuff is doesn't like touching, doesn't like feeling, of other people's handshake, anything like that. And we actually found a program, after-school program, gaming program, where he got involved and made friends. And the hardest thing for him to do was to fist bump after a game. Yep. And once he learned to fist bump, then he learned a couple other things. And once he found about computer gaming,
yep,
everything. I mean, he has hundreds of friends now online.
Okay, so Howie's in the background right now. I see Howie, but I want to give the 2 garden collections away from Haas Tools first before we go live with Howie. Mm-hmm. I see you, Howie. Hi, Howie.
Hey, Howie.
Okay, let me go 2 spins on the wheel for Haas Tools seed collections. This is all donated from Haas Tools. So this is the heirloom tomato collection. Let me shuffle. This is pretty awesome. Make sure you email me. Who's going to win? Heirloom garden collection, and the second one's the Pollinator. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, all the mods, for helping this channel. Let's keep it safe. Handicap Traveler. I haven't seen Handicap Traveler.
Yeah, and their name's not coming up when I type it in.
Okay, we're going to give the Pollinator collection. Then come back to Howie, and if you're not here by then, give it away. These are, I think, are worth $20 each. Somewhere around here. 26 around there. Collection. This is the Pollinator collection. Mary's Fiber Creations. Have you seen Mary's fiber?
Yeah, she made a comment about 10 seconds ago. She was talking back to somebody else, and
let's see what Mary's.
She says, "I'm here."
Okay. Do you want the seed collection? It's the Pollinator seed collection from Haas Tools.
Take it. It's good.
That was so generous.
Oh! She says, "Who wants it?"
Okay, so anybody in the chat? Mary, it looks like Mary's giving it away. So if you want it, she's going to pick somebody out in the chat. So if you want the Pollinator collection from Haas Tools, Mary's Fiber Creation is going to pick you out. So if you say something in the chat that you really want it, and she's going to pick somebody out. If you don't want it, don't say anything, please. So give it about 30 seconds and pick somebody out in the chat, because we got an interview with Howie. After my live, I know 9 o'clock is Bacon Leg, Let's Dig It. 10 o'clock is Wide Family Farm, and NB Heritage Farms is somewhere in there too. He was going on Sundays, but I don't know if he's still going or whatever he's doing. But that's some of the lives for tonight. But Bacon Leg and Let's Dig is at 9, and Wide Family Farms at 10. So that's where I'll be tonight after my live. So, okay, Mary's Fiber Creations, please pick somebody out. Do you see it, go? Because I don't see it on my end.
I'm trying to watch. It's going so fast. I haven't seen her come up naming anybody yet. I'm watching.
Okay. My phone's a little slow today. It keeps on going in and out.
Yeah. Tank. Give it to Tank.
Okay. I love to crochet. So congratulations. I love to crochet. So welcome in Earthling. Well, we're the Earthlings. This is Howie from Food Forest Permaculture. How you doing, Howie?
Boo!
And you, Joe?
I'm doing pretty good. This week was my longest week. My job, where I sit on my butt all day. I'm not talking about Uber, and I'm talking about my other job. I was there basically 7:30 in the morning to 12:30 in the morning. And so I was like, wow. I only got like 20 charts to put in before work tomorrow. So I got to get in there like 6 o'clock to put in. And I'm like, okay, I'm free to garden again. I'm free to go. So Howie, talk about, today's a very special day. Let everybody know what today is. It's not Naked Gardening Day.
Well, yesterday was.
Oh, yesterday, yeah.
And yesterday was International Permaculture Day.
Now, does anybody do anything with that? Anything to celebrate today? Or is it like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of festivities around the world. You can Google it, and there's thousands of people that planted trees. And basically, it's a regenerative food forest that you're planting. It looks after itself like you see a forest. And, you make soil that way, 1 inch every 10 years that way in nature, right? So you try to accelerate that by chop and drop. And I do this thing that I've invented called pathway soil bank building. I make my own soil. And that's all in layers, just like nature. It's all in layers. A bug dies, a bird dies, a leaf falls, a branch falls. Well, that accumulates and makes soil. So I just increase that by 1,000,000-fold if I can. So I have good soil to grow anything I want.
See, that's the number one thing I'm trying to build now is soil. That's what I want to build. There's no more rototilling. It's like,
no, I don't
put everything top. Never rototill anything again, because then you don't have the microbes. You don't want to kill everything.
Yeah, that's right. I just put down soil on top of, like, after my veggies are growing, I'll put soil on some of the weeds or something, and then that's it. I don't do too much for weeding or anything like that. I just add soil, like from the pathway soil bank or your compost, right? That it as compost. So I just add that to the layers, just like in nature. Nature builds soil in layers. So I just copy nature, and I'm in the burbs, so I'm not on a big piece of land. I'm only on about a half acre, but we have 9 built around Victoria that I participated in. And some I still participate in because it's ongoing always. You're showing people how to make soil in your environment for free with biochar and wood ash, kitchen waste, lawn clippings, wood chips, leaves, whatever the layer is, that all turns into soil. Like you want humic, right? And then it's kind of like Korean farming. And it's kind of like, what the Mayans did for making soil. It was all in layers. They'd skimmy off this lettuce off the canal and put it onto the soil. So, and then it would just make another layer and just keep making a layer. It's what nature does. So the Mayans were very successful at making soil. So that's, but Bill Mollison and David Holmgren coined the phrase permaculture. I was doing permaculture. I just didn't know what that was, the name of it. Everybody does it anyway. You chop everything up, you make it small, and microbes do your work. You don't want to do any work, right? That's key with permaculture. You don't want to do any work. Like you see people building all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, really? And I used to do that too, but I like raised beds, and I like hugel mounds, and I like pathway soil bank because that's the easiest to keep going. It's the easiest for you to do. Once you have good soil, I mean, anybody can grow anything after that. On this place here, it's from 3 feet to 5 feet rich black humus. So I can just dig down and harvest soil and give it to people that need to plant a few trees, or I can just sell some. You're harvesting soil. You're just not harvesting plants, but you're harvesting soil, which is very important because you have an endless supply then. And that's what you punch in hashtag pathway soil bank in Google, and it'll come up a bunch of different places. It'll come up and it'll show some of them that make in layers. Like I've put my cross-sectional diagram on Google. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy. All you got to do is copy nature. You want to make soil, and you want to make it as easy as possible. So I love cardboard. I love cardboard and wood ash and biochar for my nutrients and soaking up water. Biochar really soaks up a lot of water, eh? And if there's a soluble nutrient in that water, the roots from any plant go right into the biochar. And then bugs, they don't like to crawl around like click beetle and wildworm. They don't like to crawl around in biochar and wood ash. And slugs don't like it at all because it tears a hole in them as they go over it. So it's really friendly for like people growing onions. It's really, in garlic, it's perfect for like the natural fertilizers, wood ash, hey, and biochar. And you just soak it, hey, in a little bucket after you mash up the biochar, throw in the wood ash. You soak it, and you want to see garlic. My garlic are like size of a quarter already, Like
it's almost like tasting dirt for the bugs, right? Who wants to taste dirt? Even bugs don't want to taste dirt. They want to taste. They go through a vegetable. They want to taste something good.
Yeah. If you're going to plant a tree, find something that's already growing in your local area. If you don't have a home, a cave in a southern exposure does really well. And a cob house is your easiest bet for a tiny home under $10,000 to build. I just wanted to put that out there as an important thing. So if you want to, if you want to, like in the future, people want to belong to the land. They don't want to try to own it, and that's where we came from. We belong to the land. You used to go to work for your village, your community. Now you go to work for yourself. There's a big shift there.
So Howie, my main thing is I'm not using any fertilizer this year. And so I'm using all the leaves, just like your grass clippings, your layers, right? That's
You'll do well.
No, the years past, go ahead. The years past, I haven't had any worms in certain parts of my land that I had no worms. There was nothing. So I started one layer. I put the plastic layer tarp on it, right? I try to kill all the weeds. And also then I do the next row the next year later. That was the plan. I started getting my garden ready. Like, holy crap, look, worms. I finally got freaking worms. Yes, it's working. But
Yeah.
I needed more structure in my background. I need a little bit more helpers. So I got this in the mail today.
Red wrigglers.
So these are all worms. So
Yeah.
my yard needs help. There you go.
Dig a hole, throw in a rack of black bananas, bury it, and all your worms will come and feast there. That's in your garden.
So I got 2 of them.
Nice.
Got a lot of peppers.
Nice.
So
nice to have worms like that to break down material. Like you want to make soil in a garbage can. That's an excellent one to add to it for living soil, eh? It's really good to have what you're doing.
This is what I don't know if you ever seen this.
Care of worms. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I haven't read this yet because I got it before I came live. I just opened up the package. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Now I got to read this. But I really want to do things the right way. And when I had the last week, I had the guy. Oh my God, I just had a brain fart. Last week had a talk about permaculture, and I was like Matt Powers, and we're talking about. I'm like, oh man, I got to get Howie on. I mean, Howie's the man. And
he's a nice guy, Matt. He's a really nice guy. He's got a great smile all the time. So he's it's good vibrations from Matt. I've never met him personally, but I know people that know him.
Now you had a little health scare. How are you last year or 2 years ago? How are you feeling?
Well, everybody's got to, do their part to look after themselves.
And you went all greens. Was that?
Well, I eat a lot of greens, one low in oxalates. I don't like to have high oxalates, but I eat a lot out of my own property and then other people that grow organically. And I do eat meat. I eat free range organic beef, but I do green juicing, and I have my own recipes, which I've scaled back. I've taken out some of the things like beets have high sugar, high glycemic sugars. So is carrots and apples are high glycemic. So I'm diabetic. So I've excluded those out of my juicing. But I mean, if you have good beta cells on your pancreas that produces your insulin wells, you're not going to get a spike, right? But a lot of people have diabetes, they don't even know it. And I ended up with a rare disease, but it I didn't feel it was my time. I had better things to do. I was scheduled to be medically assisted in death. I was a couple of hours away from it.
Well, you look great.
And I just said no. I said, I think I'll stick around for the show.
When you talked about your shakes or your mixes, and you had all these greens all lined up and all.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow.
Oh yeah. You have to eat your greens. What's a gorilla eat? Celery, and he's got 20 times the strength of you. And look at him; he's 500-600 pounds of muscle. Eat your greens, What does a turtle eat? He goes along, eats seaweed. And how long does he live? 200, 300, 400 years. Look at the centurions. Okay, people that live a century, like in Corsica and in Okinawa, Japan, and in India. They all eat vegetables, man.
How about vegetables to cut down inflammation or people in chronic?
Well, that's where you need to really do some learning, dude. Oxalates, and you don't want inflammatory foods. Anything that's from the store, don't buy. I mean, if you do, you do. But I'm not saying that this is for you, right? I'm just like, this is an entertainment channel. We're having fun, and so the big thing at the store is frozen peas. They're probably the cleanest thing you'll buy at the store is frozen peas, because the shell was outside it when it was harvested. So any pesticides, herbicides, any microbes, bad ones that are on the shell, and that's gone. So now you have this beautiful pea. It's a pure protein. Hey, it's, so peas, frozen peas are the only thing I buy at frozen at the store. That's it. I don't buy anything else at the store.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You want to have a good potential hydrogen levels. When you're acidic, that's when you get disease and sickness come to you. So when your potential hydrogen level, what's a good potential hydrogen level for a guy that's a little bit large stature? What would that be? That'd be a
7.365.
7.365. There you go. He's an expert. He studies live. He's a live blood analysis, and he's an expert at what. So you ask him anything, and that's what he did. He did for a living for many years was study people's blood. So it's a really great opportunity to have him here. So he's just sitting over there having his evening brewski and having a good time. But he likes to come here and see the food forest. I gave him a bunch of lemon trees he's growing over at his place. And we've planted trees and grapes and all kinds of goji berries, lycium barbarum over at his place. So, his place is, it's got nice figs, beautiful Italian figs. And I can go to his place and pick a lemon most time of the year or an orange, and he's in Canada. Hey?
That's
right?
amazing.
But he puts up Christmas lights on his lemon trees, and he has an enclosure built around it. Him and his father built it. And they pick lemons pretty much all year round. Especially in the wintertime, it's great going out grab a fresh Valencia. I mean, you just don't get that here. You get like Meyer lemons, but you get those big Valencia lemons. And I had last person over was a botany professor from emeritus from University of Victoria, and she videotaped for the Rotary Club. She was on the board there. She came over and videotaped how she could pick a lemon at my place, and then she see other things too, and so they were all for it. And I was like, "Well, come on over anytime." So it's a real great network. Is plants and seeds and a healthy lifestyle is a real good network to have. It's a really good thing to have in your life.
That's how what. There's so much to learn from you. I mean,
I've been around a long time.
I usually I gale lurk. I call it gale lurking. So when you're in your live, I might say hi, but I'm listening to you the whole time. I'm just typing away.
It's all good, Joe.
And I'm fascinated.
It's like a billion people on YouTube.
No,
yeah, I enjoy you coming in there.
And I'm just fascinated because I learned so much. And I always thought the little things.
My legacy is that I'm here to help my fellow earthling. That's it.
You help your fellow earthlings out.
Yeah. I hang out with a lot of people that grow food here. We give out a lot of food at the food bank. We bring a ton of food in there and give it out. And that's really nice because you get to see hundreds of people that you would never meet. Usually they're shut-ins or they're low-income earners or they're pension with a small pension. So you try to get good, healthy greens into them. But there's a lot of good channels out there, and I've watched them all. And everybody's going to do permaculture different in their area than what I would do. You see, there's regreening the desert or wasteland, and then there's retrofitting the retro suburbia. David Holmgren put out a book on that called Retro Suburbia. It cost me $200 to get the book, but it was a darn good book. And I've seen every piece of video on Bill Mollison and all his lectures and talks. I mean, that guy was an amazing lecturer. And that he was the originator of permaculture. He passed away a few years ago, and it was bloody sad, I'll tell you. Yep.
We have such a long ways to go to realize that using fertilizer, burning everything up, killing
don't do that. Don't
is
do
we've got
that.
so much to learn to say, we've got to start doing gardening the right way. Stop feeding the world and feed ourselves the healthy way.
You know, before I go, I'm going to go soon, but one more thing I'd like to touch base on is pavement. There's no mycelium alive underneath the pavement. And, you know, a little bit of oil goes in the ocean, and all the governments of the world, they spend billions of dollars going and cleaning up the ocean. Well, they pay billions of dollars to pave that same substance onto land, and everything is dead underneath the pavement. So awareness of pavement, that you see worms, they try to go over it, they can't go under it. You always see worms on the pavement, and there's thousands and thousands of chemicals in there. So, you know, when you see a community that has like hempcrete or cinder brick road going into their gated community, the people in there know not to have that pavement near their house. Benzene's coming off it. So that's my rant on biodiversity not to die in the soil is pavement. And there's millions of miles of pavement that kills the land. You know, directly underneath it, there is no mycelium or microbe living underneath pavement. And a lot of people don't know that. And it's something to think about when before I go, I got this really neat little story. I see this little kid being walked to the school. They just put a new paved sidewalk all the way to the school. And the little kid was walking on it. It was stuck to his nice bright runner. And he's pulling it off into his hand. He's like, Mommy, my foot's stuck to the pavement. She's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Then hands him his lunch with the same hand. You got to wonder why people have got autism and all these other things. Come on. You're living on dead land. There's no vibration there. There's no negative ions coming from pavement for your biorhythm. I can guarantee you that.
Well, what everybody's starting to realize too is all the nutrition we're eating for the last 40 years, it's not the nutrition we used to have.
No, it's depleted soil. But if anybody has any questions, I would answer some if someone has some.
Okay, guys, if you have a question in the chat, let's answer those before we spin the wheel and call it a night. So make sure it's all in caps quick. And thank you, Howie, so much for coming on today. I really
Anytime. I'm enjoying it.
So all in caps, guys, all in caps.
Make soil, save seeds. Find a deep spring where clean water comes out of in case you can't drink the water on land.
How about going shoeless? Do you go shoeless at all?
Absolutely, every day. Yeah, you want grounding, right? Every day I take my shoes off. Every day. Yeah.
And wasn't there a study that if you do that, you live longer, or you live healthier? There were some kind of things.
Well, you're grounded to the earth more. You're you're here. So. Oh yeah, the Sleeping with Sunflower book. That's a heavy book. Hey, if you put a cut sunflower beside your pillow and go to sleep, you'll know the truth the next day of whatever matter you were thinking about. It's really creepy, man. It's folklore book, but I mean, it's really something to, you know, there's something other than just us in this world that has special power. And, you know, a lot of plants some plant goes to the bathroom. It emits H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. Well, that's the poop. We're breathing and drinking the plant poop. I'm having problems getting my compost to dry in my tumbler. Any suggestions? Get rid of the tumbler.
I knew you were going to say that.
So what it is it's soil's made in nature in layers. So you have, whether you got 1 inch layer, 3, 5, 6, 7 inch layer of leaves, lawn clippings, whatever you have, you know, for a biomass that you put in, peanut shells from the peanut factory, whatever you got, hay, old moldy hay, whatever. That's really good to go on top of garlic too, like old hay. When you plant your garlic, just put hay around there and then it goes down and then you'll see a little garlic poke through in the spring. And people ask me a lot about when to plant garlic. I plant garlic any time of year, but you're not just going to get to harvest it this year, right? And so you get the harvest next year, but still plant it. If you got an old garlic bulb and there's pumping out the little greenery, plant it, and take them apart and plant them. Green tip up. Tips are being better soil stewards. Yeah, nothing leaves your property. Nothing. When you get rid of that green can, that's $240 off your tax bill. You should be making soil with that green can. You see everybody in the street got green can. They're throwing all their leaves, branches, kitchen waste in there. No. The best thing you can do for being a good steward is to make soil. Once you make soil, you're making money. You're making healthy food. And you know what? There's going to be people that throw roadblocks up like, oh, there's toxin in this or there's pesticide in that. You know what? Microbes make most things inert. Okay, to break it down. Everything that you utilize comes from the earth or the plant or the ocean. And it just goes back. You don't want to intercept something that's toxic. So microbes break down a ton of toxins, a ton. And moss is a sign of a healthy ecosystem. You know, if you got moss on your roof, that air coming over that moss is being cleaned before it goes into your house. See? Okay.
Well, Howie, you know what? Thank you. I got to have you on for longer next time.
Sure, anytime.
Awesome. Because there's so much. I mean, I've been saying this for every time I have a guest on. It's like I want to get everybody in, but only have one time a week to do it. And there's so much we can learn from you, and I want to have you so much longer, just to even just talk. And I love to come on your show. Well, sometimes it's just talk.
Anytime, and I'll stay as long as you need me because I enjoy your company. And Gil's kind of like a brother, kind of family member, sort of.
Howie has some great old videos. Go check out his videos from a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, there's some cool things. I feed eagles my trout when I catch them and stuff, and sea turtles, which are very rare around here or non-existent. I managed to find one and stuff. There's some really neat stuff, and Corky, there's another cool channel. I like her channel. She's always doing something. There's some really cool people that come and hang out with you, Joe. You're a bundle of joy, man.
Now, one last question before I go. Seaweed.
Oh yeah.
Do you put seaweed in your layers?
Oh yeah. If you know what? When the storm happens, the seaweed come up. So if you're going to approach there a day or two after it's been raining, then that's okay just to put directly in the garden. Rinse it if you don't, because you don't want that salt there. A lot of plants don't like the salt. And the only thing that likes salt is apricots and blackberries. Now, if you're growing that, don't worry about it. But, you know, it's
asparagus.
Asparagus, yeah. And if you burn birch wood, you know, that's has a lot of salt in it. Hey, you can taste the ash. It's very salty. Hey, you know, so you have to be careful with salt. But seaweed, if you could ferment it and break it down, you know, like emulsify it and whatever you got to do to it, and then once it's broke down, it's a little easier to assimilate into the microbial world. But seaweed is really good, especially on the Atlantic side, because on the Pacific side we have Fukushima, we have cesium-137 that went into a lot of the bladderwrack seaweed and bull kelp and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's not too bad, you know. There's a lot worse in a lot worse places, but if you could have seaweed from the Atlantic side, that's the best. You don't have that heavy concentration of cesium-137, which attaches to your thyroid. And that's why you like if you pick pine berries off a pine tree when the pollen's there and then freeze them, that breaks this pollen sac, and then the potassium can attach to your thyroid instead of the cesium-137 from Fukushima. You know, we just all got to educate ourselves a little bit that plants are number one planet. Pretty simple stuff, you know. I love plants. I do. I adore them. I do. I just love them. They never cause me any trouble, and I don't have problems like other people have with growing stuff. And when people come here, like, oh, I tried to grow this, I tried to grow that. But if you look at the people next door, they spray chemicals. Nothing's alive over there except their nice green lawn. And Mrs. V went over there a few days ago and told them all off about spraying glyphosate and all this other crap they were spraying. I don't even bother. I mean, they already know what they're doing. So, it's a great, good deed and all, but you're wasting your time with telling somebody what they're doing is wrong because they already know. It's very tough. It's a tough thing to do, but make soil, chin up, and use your seaweed. Seaweed's number one. Yeah. Bananas too. Bananas make the best soil. Bananas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you get a few boxes from behind the farmer's market or wherever, something like that at the grocery store that they don't want, and just put them all into the ground like in the Pathway Soil Bank. The vitamin B alone will make bigger apples and bigger everything. In Alaska, they got a lot of vitamin B in the soil from all the fish fertilizer and seaweed, they use there, and that's a big thing. But wherever you are, make soil in layers, in just an inch to 3, 4, 5 inch. At the very end, add your biochar and your wood ash, and then soak it in and leave it for a year or a month, depending on what time of year it is. And you'll have rich black soil. The stuff that's in that bag at the store, there's no faith. I have no faith in that because people have no scruples when it comes to making money, really. And they're selling you garbage stuff that has paraquat in it and all kind of stuff like glyphosate and all kind of stuff in there that you're not told about, and you wonder, oh, these seedlings didn't grow. Well, it takes a long time for paraquat to break down and all these other chemicals. I'm just touching a small base there. There's a lot. So keep it simple. Let nature do your work to clean your soil for you. Like you can plant hemp and it'll draw out a lot of minerals, bad metals, and sunflowers, they'll take it out, and you can take that away. See, when you have trees like figs that are mineralizers that send a tap root down, pulls minerals out and puts it on top of the ground, those leaves there is what you want. Those are clean and pure, and they're alkalizing too. They're the most alkalizing thing you can use is fig leaf, and there's a process in that too. And there's a guy in Israel, I've been watching him, and he makes fermented fig leaves and eats them. They look delicious, so I have a lot of fig trees. So, and today he put out it. Today he put out what's this lemon? It was a Valencia lemon, I know it, and he's like, does have similarities and stuff, but his lemon weighed 1.5 pounds, and he feeds it seaweed, man. He feeds it seaweed, and he feeds it phosphorus. And when you're coming into big fruit, you want vitamin B, lots of it, like your seaweed number one.
I got plenty of it 5 minutes away from my house.
Perfect. You probably have bladder wrack there. You're on the East Coast. That's the one you want, the gelatinous one. That's the one that'll pick up, and the microbe, it will eat it all down, the microbe, and then nematodes will even break it down first. And then it's all deposited on the mycelium, and it's delivered to all the plants in when you become living soil, this is what happens, eh? You're bringing that living world back. 1 teaspoon of living soil has more microbes in it than all the people in the world combined. 1 teaspoon.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So when you see that pavement, there's none underneath there alive. Something to think about, pavement. Yeah.
Again, it's always the little things. Life's a lot simpler than we have it. It's everything's here for us, but we're screwing it up.
Well, the thing to remember is love. And it takes no talent to hurt and kill people. It's easy. It takes real talent to heal them up and bring them back to life. You're going to do some doctoring, right? Even though you're not a doctor, you're the only guy that's there to do anything, right? So when I was doing this Food Forest here, I put in arrowroot for infants to have a digestive aid. That's how deep I went with my thoughts that in the community after an earthquake, there'll be a need for that digestive cookie.
Now, we got one last question for you before
we go.
Yeah. So,
Howie. Go ahead, Joe.
So Juby goes, Howie, we scooped the dog poo. How much would you worry about composting the grass clippings with the dog poo?
Well, because the dog already digested it, so now it's a manure. So manure still, that needs to be broken down further. So if you're going to put it into layers of lawn clippings, that's what you should do. Throw a little lime on it because it is pathogenic. If you're eating any of your food, okay, do not put any manures for 3 to 4 weeks near it. Because what's happening is you're picking up pathogens like necrotic fasciitis, Cryptococcus gattii. There's a ton of flesh-eating diseases that are pathogenic, okay? Especially on chicken manure. I seen this kid recently cleaning out the chicken coop and she had no mask on. I felt so sorry for her. You know, you have to think about everything and have fun, and you'll learn everything. So put your poop in there, and you know what? Not just dog poop, but if you wanted to put your own poop in there, go for it. Go for it. I endorse that. But you know, like we got our nutrients out of the old outhouses and put them in the field. We dug them out and we put it in the field and we grew food and we ate it. You know, and when I look at my blood, mine's perfectly round and floating by, doing their thing. You know, if the microbes get an opportunity to break down any pathogens for 3 or 4 weeks, then you can eat the food there. But until then, you know, you're with dog poo or any type of manure, you have to be extremely careful. You have to be careful. For 3 or 4 weeks, you want to solarize it. You want microbes to break it down. You want nematodes to beat the crap out of it. That's just a joke. Crap.
Well,
anyway, Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Everything works itself, right?
Yeah. Get up and grow. Save your seeds. Caves will become trendy if a lunatic does something crazy. And best thing to remember is a deep freshwater spring. Find it in your local area. Even if it's a drip fills a bottle in an hour. Right? You got to think freshwater spring. Save your seeds. Find a cave, know how to make a cave, mine shaft. These things become available to you. And the greatest thing that you can do is in the recycling bin, there's a soup can. And that is great for boiling up bugs and herbs. And then in every house, there's a shower curtain that you can make a poncho out of or a lean-to. So, you know, there's no reason to die of exposure or starving. Enjoy your bugs and keep the rain off your neck. See you, Joe. See you, Gil.
Thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate it.
Sunday, Sunday.
Sunday
awesome
Funday.
Time.
Okay, guys. You know, when you have these guests on that want to come on, I asked them to come on. They have so much wealth of knowledge, right, Gil? How do you stop? How do you stop talking about autism awareness with everything they've been with their life? How do you stop somebody with such a passion like Food Forest Permaculture, talking about permaculture, and come on 10, 15 minutes and that's it? It's very hard to do that. Yeah. But what I do like doing is showcasing the channel we can learn a little bit from. And when you're living out in off-grid living, you got to learn how to grow. Otherwise, you don't have anything. Or you live out to save money. You got to learn how to do little things. And it's time to shuffle. So let's get this shuffling done. So we got Haas Tools. Let me see, the Heirloom Collection. Then we're going to give out this yarn. We got a couple of these. We got a Herbal Handbook and 101 hacks. 101 gardening hacks. And no, I can't give out the worms. Okay, so let's give out the Haas Tools, and we'll see if we're going to give out more seeds. We'll see. Okay, let me get to the wheel. Hope everybody appreciates these lectures. I mean, there's so much. This is great. Between Haas Tools and all these people we've interviewed or showcased their channel, it's amazing.
Shuffle.
There it is. That's right. I'm getting tired, Gil. 3 hours sleep the last 2 nights. I got to get tonight's my sleep night. Okay, so this is Haas Tools Heirloom Seed Collection. Who's gonna be the winner? Got to show strong. I'm overdue. Everybody's overdue a winner. Thank you everybody for playing. Thank you for the super test. I don't know if there was any today. I know there was a membership. Appreciate that. Mary's Fiber Creations. I think she won last time.
Yeah.
So Mary's Fiber Creations actually won a Pollinator collection, and she gave it to Tank, and she won again. But this is for the heirloom collection, and I have a feeling she's going to choose somebody else in the chat. So let's see if she's still here. Okay, we're going to give out the yarn. If she's still here, let us know. Congratulations, Mary's Fiber Creations. Okay, here goes the red yarn. You get a couple. Oh, look at that. Quat Traditions, Mrs. Ellen Pankey. I think she just only listens to the...
Yeah, her name's not coming up. Now, Mary said, what kind of seeds are in there, Joe?
I'm not sure. You got to look it up on a site. Let me see quick. Let me look it up quick, see if I can find it. Okay, hold on, guys.
All right, well, Joe's looking that up. I'm going to mention something about worms. If you're trying to draw worms in and you're just starting a compost pile, take a cup of ammonia, believe it or not, it's a natural ingredient, and mix it with a gallon of water and sprinkle it around and then put your stuff on it. The composting. Worms are naturally drawn to ammonia, like stuff breaking down and rotting produces ammonia. Cow manure produces ammonia. So, worms, put ammonia out there. It's like ringing the dinner bell for worms.
I'm still looking, Gil.
Yeah.
Collections. I'm on collections right here. I don't know if you can see that.
There we go.
Heirloom Garden Collection. So I know it's worth $20. Tomato, squash, corn, cucumber, kale, okra, and beans.
So those are the heirloom ones.
So you get a mortgage lifter, a green tint squash, a national picking cucumber, a trucker's favorite corn, Placento kale, Landers string beans, and red burgundy okra. So let us know, Mary. And let us know.
She'll take it.
Okay. So let me get Mary's here. That is a nice collection.
That is.
Okay. Haas Tools Sunday Funday. Okay, so this is for the Herbal Handbook. 1 second. Did Miss Ellen Pankey come in?
No, I did not see that her come in.
Okay, here's the Herbal Handbook. These are really good books, by the way. So much to learn off little things here. Thank you for all the mods. I appreciate you guys staying the whole time. You know, this is a long night. Sifting Some Soil and More. And 455, that's the old name. But she's been in the member for so long that I have her beginning name still on the wheel.
What's her new name?
Sifting Some Soil and More.
And more. Okay, so Sifting Soil's not even showing up.
Okay. Gardening hack book. Here's the 101 organic gardening hack. Life in Yarn Tangled. I don't think she is here.
LIF. Life in Yarn Tangle's in the chat somewhere. Her name comes up.
She's been a huge supporter of mine, and I love listening to her. She's been through such twist in life. To do what she does, yarn-wise.
All right, she said hi.
Hi, Cindy. So I don't know if she wants the book. It's 101 organic hard gardening hacks. So
Cindy, you want the book?
What did I win? You want a book? This is what you won, Cindy, if you can sit. Cindy doesn't eat food. She has everything through a tube.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she would want this or not, or just give it away. You know,
give it to someone. Give it to someone in the chat.
Okay. You know, either I could just spin the wheel. I'm just going to spin the wheel.
Okay. That's probably going to be easiest.
Yeah. Here we go. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. I'm going to make this go. It's already 9:30 already. It is really nice. Lori Wallace. That is for the 101 organic gardening hacks.
And Lori's in the chat somewhere.
So let us know.
Lori Wallace, she would love it.
Awesome. Let me circle that. Okay, I don't think Alan's here, so we're going to give the red yarn away. Red yarn. Red yarn. I hope I do it right by everyone. I'm here to help out as many people as I can. LG Homestead.
Is LG still here?
LG Homestead.
Yep, they're still here.
Lori's still here. Oh, that's awesome.
At least they pop up when I did it. So,
well, congratulations to LG Homestead. If you're still in the chat, let us know. You want yourself some red yarn, and thank you for staying the whole time. I appreciate what you and Greg have done with everything the last couple of years. Thank you. And
all right. To answer someone's question there, when I'm searching for someone's name, I put the @ sign down below where I type in and the first two letters of their channel name. It should propagate if they're in the chat or in the last 15 minutes or they said something recently. Of course, if they dropped out within like 10 minutes ago, but they said something.
Okay. Sifting some soil and more is here. There she is. Hi,
there she is. Yeah.
So sifting some soil. Let me see what she won before. She won a herbal handbook. So sifting some soil and more. Do you want the herbal handbook? Let us know in the chat. Sifting some soil and more.
Okay. LG, if you're here, let us know if you want it.
And the last two prizes of the night, this is a frog amigurumi and a cactus amigurumi.
Okay.
So I love Granny D when Granny D is here. I love Granny D. Granny D has some great chats. There's usually 80, 90 people in her chat go all the time. That's Granny D. Okay, Frog Amigurumi. Ladybird loves. Congratulations to Lisa. You won a frog. Okay, and the last one is a cactus amigurumi. I'm here. Thank you. Yep. Lisa won and cactus. Greg Bryson. Greg hasn't won anything in a while, but I don't know if Greg's going to want the cactus amigurumi. So we'll let us know in a second.
His name popped up, so I'm not sure.
So we're going to find out in a second. But thank you, everyone, for coming. And thank you for all the members, for all the help. To help this channel. Thank you guys for watching and supporting and listening to my guests. We have two great guests the next 2 weeks. We got as our main guest, and that's Patrick Ramsey from Baker's Creek Seeds. We had him on live before, and you have one of the main people from Baker's Creek on. That's a pretty damn good interview. And then we have Gary Pilarczyk, and that's an awesome. He's one of the largest.
Greg says he'll take it.
Oh, look at that, Greg. Whoop, whoop. Hold on one second, guys.
Yeah.
Let me get his official name. I want to see how many people Greg has. Let me see if it comes on. Well, just to let you guys know, Greg has one of the largest YouTubes. It's called The Rusted Garden. It's on, he has 600, well, almost 700,000 subs.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive. So, yes, Gary Pilarczyk from The Rusted Garden will be in 2 weeks. So, again, a lot of great things are happening. Sorry if things go a little longer than scheduled. It happens. We're here for our guests. They're spending their time with us. I want to make sure everybody gets what you can out of it, and thank you for supporting me around the way. Even if there's people here that don't even garden, just listen, and hope I could put a smile on everybody's faces. And Gil, thank you so much for tonight. Yeah. I appreciate it.
And I want to talk to you afterwards.
Okay. And Lisa, Ladybird loves. I always say Lisa, Ladybird loves. Ladybird loves.
Okay, I love to crochet. Says sift in soil, passed it to Jane Doe.
Okay. Jane.
Yeah.
Awesome, Gil. And thank you, Gil, for, again, coming on this whole entire time and helping everybody out and helping this whole channel out and all the support in and out. It's thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I enjoy everything you do. Totally. So, and thank everybody in the chat. I'll see you next Sunday. Richie Ramsey from Baker's Creek Seeds. I'm not sure who my guest host is next week. We'll find out. It's somebody new every week. And love you guys. Everybody have a good week.
In 15 minutes, Wide Family Farm is going live.